General of Lighthouses and Lightships under the Ministry of Port Shipping Waterways. We feel truly honored to have their presence. It's a bright day for the host team. May I once again request you all to please settle down. Keep your mobile phones in silent mode. We are starting the inaugural ceremony in a very short while. Thank you.
Every time a mother
Ladies and gentlemen, setting the context a bit, I think it's a unique endeavor by Directorate General of Lighthouses and Lightships to celebrate the uniqueness of the lighthouses of the country that has played a pivotal role in promoting art, culture and heritage of the country through the second Lighthouse Festival on the Golden Sands of Puri and through this absolutely unique Lighthouse Tourism Conclave. We acknowledge the presence of the esteemed dignitaries, Honorable Deputy Chief Minister Odisha and Honorable Minister Women and Child Development, Mission Shakti and Tourism, Srimati Prabhati Parida, Honorable Union Minister of State for Port, Shipping and Waterways, Government of India, Shri Shantanu Thakur, Honorable Union Minister of State for Tourism, Petroleum and Natural Gas, Shri Suresh Gopi, Shri T.K. Ramachandranji, IAS Secretary, Ministry of Port, Shipping, Waterways, esteemed Chairman, Paradip Port Authority, Shri P.L. Haranad, esteemed Director General, DGLL, Shri N. Muruganandam, and esteemed Deputy DG, DGLL, Shri Madhukar Gudadeji. May I request the dignitaries to please join us on stage. And ladies and gentlemen, please give a thunderous round of applause for all the dignitaries whose presence is making this day, this Lighthouse Tourism Conclave, so special for each one of us present here. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, ma'am. Please take your seat. What a bright day for the host team to have such distinguished guests together for the inauguration ceremony of Lighthouse Tourism Conclave. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the tradition of the land to welcome special dignitaries with Angavastra and bouquet of fresh flowers. So may I request the captain of the host team, esteemed Director General, DJLL, Shri N. Muruganandamji, to please present bouquet of fresh flowers and Angavastra to Madam Deputy Chief Minister Odisha, Srimati Prabhati Parida. We welcome you to Puri, welcome you to this tourism conclave, ma'am. May I request DGLL to please present bouquet of fresh flower to Shri Shantanu Thakurji, Honorable Union Minister of State for Port, Shipping and Waterways. We welcome you, sir, to this wonderful occasion. That's Angavastra for Ma'am Prabhati Paridaji. I think a true Odia tradition. And I'll request you to present Angavastra to Shri Shantanu Thakurji. May I request you, sir, to please present Angavastra and bouquet to Shri Suresh Gopi ji, Honorable Union Minister of State for Tourism, Petroleum, Natural Gas. To Shri T.K. Ramachandranji, esteemed Secretary, Ministry of Port, Shipping, Waterways. The day is getting brighter with the fragrance of these fresh flowers. I request you, sir, to please present bouquet and Angavastra to Shri P.L. Haranadji, esteemed Chairman, Paradip Port Authority. Thank you, sir, for doing the honor. May I request Deputy DG DGLL, Shri Madhukar Gudadeji, to please present bouquet and Angavastra to Shri N. Muruganandamji. And may I request esteemed Deputy DG, Shri Virendra Yadavji, to present bouquet and Angavastra to Shri Madhukar Gudadeji. It's a warm tradition of the land that whenever there is a special occasion and there are special guests on stage, we never miss this opportunity to make their day special with the fragrance of the flowers and the warmth of the traditional Angavastra. Thank you, host team, for doing the honors. Thank you. We are Directorate General of Lighthouses and Lightships believe that we are who we are because of our roots and heritage. So we would like to start this very special day in the most auspicious way ever possible, that is by invoking the Fire Lord. May I request Madam Deputy Chief Minister, all honorable ministers and dignitaries to please light the ceremonial lamp and officially inaugurate Lighthouse Tourism Conclave 2024, please. अग्निदेव का आवाहन किसी भी शुभ कार्य का मांगलिक माना जाता है। आज जगन्नाथ पुरी पूरे विश्व के लिए एक स्वतंत्र स्थान है जहां पर हो रहा है सेकंड लाइट हाउस फेस्टिवल, और ये बहुत ही खास लाइट हाउस टूरिज्म कॉन्क्लेव जिसे प्रदीप प्रज्वलन के साथ शुरू कर रहे हैं हमारे अतिथि ऑनरेबल डिप्टी चीफ मिनिस्टर ओडिशा मैडम प्रभाती परिड़ा जी, ऑनरेबल यूनियन मिनिस्टर ऑफ स्टेट श्री शांतनु ठाकुर जी, ऑनरेबल यूनियन मिनिस्टर ऑफ स्टेट श्री सुरेश गोपी जी, एस्टीम्ड सेक्रेटरी मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ पोर्ट शिपिंग वाटरवेज श्री टी.के. रामचंद्रन जी, एस्टीम्ड चेयरमैन पारादीप पोर्ट अथॉरिटी श्री पी.एल. हरनाथ जी, esteemed Director General DGLL Shri N. Muruganandam ji, and esteemed Deputy DG DGLL Shri Madhukar Gudadhe ji. Kadaschit Kalindi Tata Vipina Sangeeta Karabo Mudabhini Nari Vadana Kamala Swada Madhupa Rama Shambhu Brahma Surapati Ganeshaya Chitapado Jagannatha Swami Nayana Pathagami Bhavatume Jagannatha Swami Nayana Pathagami Bhavatume. May the blessings of the Almighty be on the entire family of DGLL and Ministry of Port Shipping and Waterways in their endeavor to promote lighthouses for promoting tourism of the nation. Ladies and gentlemen, the coastline of India has been marked with 203 lighthouses for providing safe passage in Indian waters, and each of those lighthouses have a story to share, a heritage it's proud of, and a unique way of promoting art, culture, and tourism of India. It's worth mentioning here that DGLL has completed development of 75 unique lighthouses across the country for celebrating the true spirit of India's diversity when it comes to tourism. And through this Lighthouse Festival, Lighthouse Tourism Conclave, we are celebrating this diversity and uniqueness. So why don't we start the day with a big round of applause for the host team for this absolutely vibrant thought and initiative, as I request esteemed Secretary, Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways, Shri T.K. Ramachandran ji, to please set the context and officially welcome everyone. Sir.
Namaskar. Honorable Deputy Chief Minister of Odisha, Srimati Prabhati Parida, Honorable Shri Shantanu Thakurji, Minister of State, MOPSW, Honorable Shri Suresh Gopi, Minister of State for PNG and Tourism, my colleague Shri Harnath, Chairman of the Paradip Port Authority, Shri Muruganandam, Director General of Lighthouses, and our other officials, senior officials from across the country, from across the state, from the state government of Odisha. I have great pleasure welcoming you to this first conclave on lighthouse tourism. I would also like you to invite all of you to the second Indian Lighthouse Tourism Festival. The first was held last year in Goa and of course in other places later on, Chennai and so on. It is my pleasure to welcome the Honorable Deputy Chief Minister of Odisha, who has spared her valuable time to be with us this morning. I'd also like to welcome Shri Gopi, whose mesmerizing film career always precedes him wherever he goes. And we were talking to him a few minutes back, and within those few minutes he told us so many stories about lighthouses and the way he grew up with them. I also have pleasure in welcoming Sri Shantanu Thakurji, our MOS, who has been guiding us in this endeavor. The Honorable Deputy Chief Minister of Odisha, she said that she's from this district and therefore she's the hostess. Very gracious of her. So, Madam, I'd like to particularly thank you for having been with us this morning. This tourism festival, Lighthouse Tourism Festival, is a first of its kind, maybe not just in India but also across the world, for the very simple reason that nobody has really conceptualized tourism as being as involving lighthouses. Lighthouses have come and gone, but the Honorable Prime Minister gave us this advice, this suggestion a couple of years back, that on the 75th anniversary of our independence, 75 ऐसे लाइट हाउसेस को आप डेवलप कीजिए जिनमें कि टूरिज्म हो. Because many of these lighthouses are heritage structures, beautiful heritage structures, and they have so much of history behind them, so much of heritage behind them, architectural, some of them are architectural marvels. And so he said, develop this as a narrative. And the DGLL over the last couple of years has taken up this challenge, and they delivered 75 lighthouses, spending around 50 plus crores. You can clap, I think. Appreciate करने में कभी हमें हिचकिचाना नहीं चाहिए. So they developed it, and all the 75 of these lighthouses were inaugurated by the Honorable Prime Minister in February this year. And today they are roaring successes. We have huge footfalls. People are coming from across the country to visit these lighthouses. And पहले lighthouses के बारे में कोई जानता नहीं था, कोई बात नहीं करता था. Somewhere कहीं कोने में lighthouse है तो क्या है? But today they are part of the tourism circuit. And that is what we intend them to be. As you are aware, we are doing a lot of work on cruise tourism, whether it's ocean cruise or river cruise or coastal cruise. We are doing all of them. And our aim is to ensure that all these tourist circuits are integrated. The ocean cruise is integrated with the coastal cruise and with the river cruise, so that the few hours that are spent by the tourist, the cruise tourist, either domestic or from abroad, are spent meaningfully. And we assure those who are present here, I'm told that a lot of tour operators are here, and we assure all of you that this is very serious business, and we hope that if going by the numbers that we've already seen in the last year, we hope that this will be a roaring success and a large number of tourists will visit. I think the numbers are in lakhs. We just used to have a few thousands visiting once in a way, but now it has gone up to a few lakhs. And we hope that it will go into millions in the years to come, because we have 203 lighthouses, and each of them has a story behind it. Each of them has some history behind it, and these are some of them are very charming stories and really worth listening to and experiencing. I'd also like to express my thanks to the Paradeep Port, who have come forward to organize this in this most sanctified place, the Puri town. It's such an elevating experience just to be here in the town of Lord Jagannatha. And we hope that His blessings will be there for this entire event and for this endeavor to succeed in the years to come. So I would like to again welcome all of you who've participated here, and also senior colleagues here like Mr. Kapil Mohan, who's come all the way from Karnataka to address you, and hope that the proceedings of this conclave will be really useful in taking the Lighthouse tourism forward. Thank you once again for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir, for those overwhelming words of welcome and for reminding us the importance of this initiative, that these lighthouses will be the beacon of light for guiding us in this wonderful journey of making India a truly global tourism hub. Can we have one more round of applause to that thought, please? And with that happy note, may I request Honorable Union Minister of State for Tourism, Petroleum and Natural Gas, Shri Suresh Gopiji, to please share his thoughts with the House. Sir.
Very good afternoon to all assembled here to celebrate light through Lighthouse and such stations on the saline banks. My respectful namaskar to the Deputy Chief Minister of Odisha, my colleague in the Union Council, and all the other officers on stage, off stage, ladies and gentlemen, friends, and other folks supporting this event, celebrating the festival of Lighthouse tourism. I'm more than privileged and honored that I'm also a participant in this attempt of the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, who has envisaged a certain process by which lighthouses are as it used to be and to belong to the new generation of ideal thinking that will carry life forward, increasing the number of lighthouse stations in the country, his plans for the newly envisaged Sagarmala, which will let the country contain more scapes for safe sailing of life and materials which will keep life strongly flowing. I think I will have to engage in very positive, soulful, emotional rhetorics when it comes to lighthouses, because they have happened in my life during my childhood days. If you are all aware of the history of seashores or the coastal life, at least pertaining to Kerala, the Portuguese entrance or invasion, as you may call it, right from De Cunha and then the great Vasco da Gama, and how Kozhikode in Kerala came into the political history of India, how trade was initiated during those days, and how Tangasheri in Kollam district, which is my home district, which brought me up after my birth in Alleppey. Alleppey used to be, or still is, vocally or vehemently and verbally called the Venice of the East, has a lighthouse. My hometown, Kollam, which has Tangasheri for this Portuguese historical scriptings, has a lighthouse, which is very close to my heart. The first entrant into my heart in the form of a lighthouse, which I call it the beacon of hope, the beacon of safety, and ultimately, if you think and reach the focus of the whole idea of implantation of lighthouses, it is an invite to safe zones, and it is the beacon beam of care and emotion. Now read it. You can have your mind freak out, having definitions, different kind of definitions and descriptive lines for lighthouses. Lighthouses, like हम अपने घर में दिया जलाते हैं. We think it is a religious affair, a spiritual affair. It is to just ward off evil in the shape of darkness. The dangers hidden in the darkness. So, the depth of the sea is unfathomable, and so is the dangers hidden in the depth of the waters. So, this is an invite to any sailor. That was the original intent of a lighthouse. I am reminded of the rhyme of the ancient mariner. The rhyme of the ancient mariner, the whole world remembers this poem by Shelley. I think for these few lines, water, water everywhere, and not a drop to drink. It's a soulful poem describing the intricacies of life. So, I don't think during those times, it was written in the late 17th century or 16th century. There were no lighthouses then. Or we would have had the inhabitants of the seashores would have facilitated this need through some other means. But science and technology had developed that facilitation into what is called the lighthouse now. Tamassoma Jyotirgamaya. Ward off darkness and lead me into wisdom. But lighthouse, if you see lighthouse, if you adore lighthouses and then say Tamassoma Jyotirgamaya, then ward off all the evils and take me and keep me safe in very safe, secure havens. That is the call. I truly believe, because I know the person that my Prime Minister is, and he has kept the essence attached to these lines I have delivered. Otherwise, he could not have had this vision of having more. My Prime Minister insists that, I think even Sri Shantanu is aware of this. He has definitely asked us in every official function to go by the lines printed in a prepared speech. He insists that we are not led to err from the subject, to sway away from the essence of the subject. But I think since the lighthouses have happened in my life, Tangasheri had the first ICSE school in the state of Kerala and one of the few ICSE schools in the whole country. The director of the ICSE system was Dr. Abbott. I remember. I did my ICSE from 62 when I was in the nursery till 75 when I was in the ISC, after ICSE. So those were the times when I used to have my daytime in schools in Tangasheri, which is almost the tip of the town of Kollam, but the heart of the city. And this is a very old school which is going to touch its 75th year, maybe in a couple of years' time. And the lighthouse was the demarcation and also the symbol used to denote Kollam district. It was that huge and emotional stupa, a stupa of wisdom or safety or care. I call it a stupa. We have so many stupas in our country which are historically relevant, geographically and nationally very relevant and adored. I think lighthouses also have to be drawn into that scape of adulation. Tourism attached to lighthouses, when it comes, lighthouses have been guarding the shores, exactly the wave hitting shores. I have slept and taken the roar of the waves for lullaby to put me to sleep. Now, when I had this experience in this very complex sleeping last night, I could very emotionally sense and imbibe the essence of a saline lullaby, which had the safety call of a beam of light. I'm so thankful. I think I will, for the first time in my official capacity, I will stay away from the printed speech, which is relevant and very attached to this solemn occasion, but I think I will stay away from this. I've talked much. I am emotionally attached to this. I thank my Prime Minister for having put me in the right place in the council. This is the glory that has lit my knowledge of wisdom. So thank you very much. I wish the Shipping Ministry, Sarbanand Sonowal ji and also Shantanu ji, and the state government which is supporting this attempt to be the torchbearer for the whole nation. Thank you very much. May God, Lord Jagannath, bless this attempt. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for those truly emotional and insightful words. It reminds me of Gulzar Sahab, who once said, "Jahan jata hai, roshni phailata hai, chirag ka apna koi ठिकाना नहीं होता." Maybe these lighthouses cannot step out of their posts, but through them, the heritage of this country will travel worldwide. Thank you so much once again for connecting the dots so well. Thank you very much, sir. May I now request Honorable Deputy Chief Minister and Honorable Minister of Women and Child Development, Mission Shakti and Tourism Odisha, the woman power herself, Madam Prabhati Parida ji, to share her thoughts with the House. Please, ma'am.
Promotion of tourism at lighthouses. ये कार्यक्रम रे उपस्थित थिबा मान्यवर केंद्र बंदर जहाज परिवहन एवं जलपथ राष्ट्र मंत्री श्री शांतनु ठाकुर महोदय मुटिकी आगरू आपन पाखे कथा रखी थिबा Honorable Minister, Natural Gas Tourism, Sri Suresh Gopi ji, समस्त को स्वागत करिथिबा पोर्ट शिपिंग वाटरवेज रो सेक्रेटरी श्री टी.के. रामचंद्रन जी, डायरेक्टर जनरल ऑफ लाइट हाउस एंड लाइट शिप्स इन मुरुगंदम जी, पारादीप पोर्ट अथॉरिटी रो चेयरमैन पी.एल. हरानंद, डेप्यूटी डायरेक्टर जनरल ऑफ DGLL श्री मधुकर जी, other officials from Government of India, delegates from different parts of the country, media persons and friends. प्रकृतरे मु दुई मिनिस्ट्री रो दुई मंत्री को कृतज्ञता जनैबी ओडिशा तरफरु कि जगन्नाथंकर ये पवित्र धामरे द्वितीय ओडिशा भारत वर्ष रे गोवा रे प्रथम द्वितीय पुरी रे एभली एक कार्यक्रम को रूपरेख देथिबारु समस्त ऑफिशियल्स मानकु मु साधुवाद जनैबी। मु जेतबेले गोपीजी सहित कथा होउथली कहिले मु सकाळे प्रभु जगन्नाथंक दर्शन सारिछि। मु कहली आशीर्वाद तो नहीं जाइछन्ति दबाकू भी अच्छी, तो भारत सरकार को ओडिशार पर्यटन पाई हाथ खोला करिथिबा केंद्र सरकार कोणार्क देखि आसीबा दरकार एवं हेरिटेज डेवलपमेंट रे ओडिशा को आगे नबा पाई कोणार्क विजिट करबा पाई आई हैव इनवाइटेड मिस्टर गोपी जी टू कम एंड स्टे एंड टू विजिट the heritage sites of Odisha, and he assured me he will visit shortly and stay in Odisha and to put their hands what is open for Odisha in the development of our tourism. बंधु माने आमे समस्ते जाने देशर प्रधानमंत्री बहुत छोटो छोटो कथा उपरे आलोकपात करिवा पाई समस्त को कहती मु भावुची ये बत्ती घर को पुणी थरे लोकों पाखे पहुँचेबा पाई ये गोटे तांकर बहुत बड़ उद्यम जहाँ पारादीप पोर्ट ट्रस्ट रो चेयरमैन जेबे मो पाखक जाइथिले डाकिवा पाई मोर सेबे मने पड़िला बत्ती घर आमे चतुर्थ पंचम श्रेणी रे पढ़िला बेले साहित्य रे गोटे थिला बत्ती घर। आज जोटा फोटो देखा जाउची सेतबेले से साहित्य ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट रे थिला एवं सेथिरे आमे जहाँ सेतबेले पढ़िथिलु मते लागुथिला लाइट हाउस प्रमोशन ऑफ टूरिज्म पाई मते अतिथि भावे डाकिला परे मोर रिबाउंड हेला पिलादिनर से बही आउ से पृष्ठा एवं से साहित्य जो थिरे लेखा थिला जलदस्यु मानकु प्रोटेक्ट करिवा पाई एवं बुड़ी जाउथिबा नाविकर सहारा पाई लाइट हाउस सेतबेले केते कामरे आसुथिला। मु भाबुथि जदि लाइट हाउस रो डिस्कशन पाई हेई नथांता हुए तो आम मनरे पाठ पढ़िथिबा से बत्ती घर रिवाइव होई नथांता। तेणु मु पुणी थरे धन्यवाद देवी पोर्ट शिपिंग वाटरवेज रो मंत्री विभागीय अधिकारी एवं पर्यटन रो समस्त अधिकारी मानंकु टूरिज्म रो हेरिटेज साइट कहले तो अनेक कथा अछि, बट आपण माने बत्ती घर को भाभी थिबारु एवं बत्ती घर पाखरे ये कार्यक्रम को रूप दौथिबारु आमे समस्ते ये उपकूलिया अंचल रे केबे ना केबे बत्ती घर लाइट ही केवल लाइट थिबो। जेतबेले आम पाखे इलेक्ट्रिक नथिबो, जेतबेले इलेक्ट्रिफिकेशन नथिबो, बत्ती घर लाइट जेतबेले बुले मते लागे जेतबेले आम गाँ दूर इठी थिले भी जेतबेले ये लाइटटा बुले समस्ते लाइट हाउस रो लाइट बोली कहती। आज हुए तो चिकमिकिया लाइट भितरे बत्ती घर लाइट आउ दृश्यमान बा प्रतीयमान हो नथिबो किंतु जेतबले अंधार किटिमिटी थिबो ओडिशा सेतबले आम पाखे थिबा पारादीप आपणकर पुरी गोपालपुर चंद्रभागा फॉल्स पॉइंट ये पांचटीर जो लाइट हाउस थिबो ये निश्चिंत भावे आम जल जहाज माने जो माने जानवाहन करुथिबे आमर मछुआरा माने जो माने माछ मारिबा पई समुद्र भितर को जाउथिबे सेमानंको पई गोटे रे ऑफ होप थिबो। आजिका दिन रे एते एकदम हजि जाउथबा जिंस को साउंटी आनी पुणी थरे वर्कशॉप करिबा ता उपरे एनालिसिस करिबा ता उपरे जो माने अधिकारी माने आसीचंती ता उपरे वर्कशॉप करिबा लाइट हाउस को टूरिज्म रे केमती कन्वर्ट करै परिबा एटा केमती टूरिज्म रे हब होई परिबो टूरिज्म सहित आकु जोड़िबा हेरिटेज सहित जोड़िबा मु भाबुची ये गोटे बहुत प्रशंसनीय काम भारत सरकार रो जो थिरे ओडिशा सरकार को आपण माने सहयोग आपण आमे आपण को करिनु आपण आमको आम जिनस चिन्हिबा पई जो सुजोग दैचंती ता पई ओडिशा सरकार को तरफ रु आमे आपण को कृतज्ञता जणाउछु कि आम पाखरे थिबा लाइट हाउस एबे नुहे बहुत वर्ष धरी अछि किंतु आमे ताकू टूरिज्म रो हेरिटेज भितरे हुए तो सेतिकी बढ़ई पारिने जेतिकी बढ़िबा कथा आम अंचल रे आम स्कूल रे पढ़ुथिबा पिला मानंकु मु जाने ना आजी साहित्य रे से विषय अछि कि नाही किंतु ये बत्ती घर पढ़ी थिबा सबु पिला निश्चिंत भावे आजी जीवन रो जो सोपान रे थिबे निश्चिंत भावे लाइट हाउस रो टूरिज्म रो डेवलपमेंट हेले से निश्चिंत भावे देखिबा को आसीबे कि मु पढ़ी थिबा लाइट हाउस आउ एबे हेरिटेज बा टूरिज्म रे डेवलप होउथिबा लाइट हाउस एका भली देखा जाउचंती कि नाही मु तो भाबुची मो मन रे भी कौतूहल पर्यटन मंत्री हिसाब रे कि 5-6टी जगह रे जो जगह रे बंदर अछि ओडिशा रे आउ नुआ बंदर रो जो परिकल्पना होउची ता भितरे ये लाइट हाउस को बेस करी जेते टूरिस्ट फुटफॉल हबो मते लागुची समस्त हेरिटेज साइड रो ये साइड निश्चिंत भावे डोमेस्टिक एवं इंटरनेशनल टूरिस्ट रो फुटफॉल पाई ओडिशा को सहाय्य करिवो आमे समस्ते जानिचे वाणिज्य नौ वाणिज्य पाई आम ओडिशा प्रसिद्ध सेइत पाई आम देशर प्रधानमंत्री बाली द्वीपरे भी ओडिशार बाली यात्रा कथा कहते जोठिकी जाभा सुमात्रा को आमर लोक माने सेबे नौ वाणिज्य रे व्यवसाय वाणिज्य करने को जाउथिले आमदानी रप्तानी बोधे भारत वर्ष रे ओडिशा प्रसिद्ध आउ आज ताकू मने रखिबा पई आमे हेरिटेज भावे बाली यात्रा को भी कंटिन्यू करूचे तेणु ये सबको आखि आगरे रखी भारत वर्ष रे उपकूल तटरे थिबा लाइट हाउसेस 75 भितरु पुरी को आपण माने बाछि थिबारु एवं पुरी रे आम ओडिशा रे थिबा अन्य लाइट हाउस पई आज मु भाबुची बोधे वर्कशॉप रे किछि कथा निष्कर्ष आपण माने देबे जो आधार रे लाइट हाउस को बेस करी टूरिज्म बढ़िबो लिवलीहुड्स बढ़िबो जो जगह रे टूरिज्म बढ़िबो निश्चिंत भावे टूरिज्म सर्विसेज सेक्टर रे अछि एवं ओडिशार अर्थनैतिक मानदंड को बढ़ेबा को हेले आम पाखे टूरिज्म गोटे ही विभाग जी बढ़िले आम पाखे लिवलीहुड बढ़िबो आमर इकोनॉमिकली इंडिपेंडेंस बढ़िबो आम पाखे अर्थनैतिक स्वच्छलता आहुरी बढ़िबो एवं आमे पुरी बा उपकूलिया अंचल माने प्रभु जगन्नाथंको दिया हुआ आम पाखे प्राकृतिक संपद भरपूर ओडिशा आमे ताकू बढ़ेबा पई निश्चिंत भावे आमे समस्ते चेष्टारे रहिबा मु पुणी थरे पर्यटन संख्या को वृद्धि करने निमंते आम पर्यटन भित्तिभूमि गमनागमन सुविधा रहणी और खाद्यपेय संपर्क में आमको स्पष्ट सूचना पत्र जारी करिवार भी आवश्यकता अच्छी एवं मोदी जी का मंत्र सबका साथ सबका विकास सबका विश्वास सबका प्रयास रे अनुप्राणित होई आम ओडिशा को समग्र भारतर एक श्रेष्ठ पर्यटन राज्य भावे गढ़िबा जरूरी अच्छे। समस्त को ये लाइट हाउस उत्सव ये कॉन्क्लेव रे समस्त को अनेक अनेक शुभेच्छा एवं अभिनंदन। आमे जानिचे समुद्र कूल रे आमे बसीचे समुद्र मंथन हेले विष भी बाहरिबो अमृत भी बाहरिबो। तेणु आपण मानक पाखरे जेते एक्सपीरियंस लोक माने आज यही कॉन्क्लेव रे आपणकर मानस मंथन हबो। मु भाबुची आजिका टेक्नोलोजी जुगरे आपणक पाखरु बाहरिबा विष को भी सरकार गोटे आसेट रे परिणत करबा पई की टार्गेट रखिची। अमृत तो निश्चिंत भावे समाज रे काम रे लागिबो। तेणु आशा रखुची सबु को मिसई आपण मानक वर्कशॉप रो जहा रिजल्ट बाहरिबो सेथिरे ओडिशार बत्तीघर बा भारत वर्ष सारार बत्तीघर मानकर बहुत डेवलपमेंट हबो। जो थिरे टूरिज्म मंत्री भावे ओडिशा पाई मु तो आशावादी जे आपण मानकर आज संध्यार कार्यक्रम बेले मु भाबुची एते शॉर्ट समय रे आपण 2-4 घंटा भितरे जहाँ मानस मंथन करिवे संध्या बेले आम पाखकु से काम आसीबो एवं आमे ताकू नै आगकू बत्ती घरर टूरिज्म बा पर्यटन डेवलपमेंट रेखांकन करिवु बा कार्यक्रम करिवु। आपण मान को मु आश्वस्त करने को चाहूँगी जहाँ भी फीडबैक आपण माने आपण को मन रे थिबो ओडिशार विकास पई बत्ती घर ताकू बेस करी बढ़ेवा को पर्यटन आम सरकार खाली प्रतिश्रुति नहीं प्रतिबद्धतार अच्छी कि टूरिज्म बढ़ेवा पई जहाँ आवश्यक हम आम निश्चिंत भावे करूँ। केंद्र पाखे ओडिशा पई अर्थर अभाव नहीं काम करने आम पाखे मन एवं मुन दुईर अभाव नहीं। तेणु आम समस्ते मिसी ओडिशा को एक विकसित राज्य रे परिणत करने जो संकल्प नहींचु आजिर कॉन्क्लेव निश्चिंत भावे तापाई एक पथ प्रदर्शक हब बोली मु आशा रखुची। पुणी थरे ओडिशार ये पवित्र माटी रे आपण समस्त को ये मो जिला ये मो घर तेणु आपण को समस्त को एठी स्वागत करुची। जय जगन्नाथ जय माँ सुभद्रा।
धन्यवाद सम्माननीय उपमुख्यमंत्री महोदय। सर प्लीज।
Being a literature student, I should be making this correction. I wrongly said it was Shelley. It is actually Samuel Taylor Coleridge who wrote Rime of the Ancient Mariner. If there are other scholars, I think they would have been a little perplexed when they heard it was Shelley. I'm so very sorry.
And we'll always remember this humility of yours and remember to rectify our mistakes when we do one in future. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much. सम्माननीय उपमुख्यमंत्री महोदयंकर नेतृत्व रे तांको अभिज्ञतारु पुरी ओडिशार ख्याति सुनाम सारा विश्व रे बहुगुणित हबो सेथिरे संदेहर अवकाश नाही। मु सम्माननीय उपमुख्यमंत्री महोदयंक पई आ गोटे अभिनंदन करताळी चाहिबी। The girl from Puri district who is today the Honorable Deputy Chief Minister and Minister Tourism, who has promised to work the hardest to make Puri and Odisha the brightest star in the galaxy of tourism. Thank you so much, ma'am, for those wonderful words of encouragement. And with that, may I request Honorable Union Minister of State for Port, Shipping and Waterways, Shri Shantanu Thakurji, to please address the House. Sir.
Jai Jagannath. Today, the historical occasion occurred in this August house, and in this occasion, here in the dais, Honorable Deputy Chief Minister, Government of Odisha, Srimati Pravati Paridaji, Honorable Minister of State for Tourism, Government of India, Sri Suresh Gopiji, Secretary Ports, Shipping and Waterways, Sri T.K. Ramchandranji, Paradeep Port Chairman, Sri Harananji, and Deputy Lighthouse, Sri Murugadamanji, and officials, many officials from the ministries and various departments, media friends, and distinguished guests. Before giving you the data, few datas and other things, I must tell that we are very lucky that because our Honorable Prime Minister thought that old things cannot be thrown. When this lighthouse has importance and GPS wasn't with us, sailors, seafarers, how give the importance of lighthouse? That importance also given by our Honorable Prime Minister, because it's become our oldest, like a parents. When parents become oldest, we never throw them. We protect them, nurture them, and care them. Also, our Honorable Prime Minister given the priority of this lighthouse. So, this is mean a nation importance. This is mean public importance. This is mean a thing's importance is very necessary for the country for future progress. It is a matter of great pride and joy to stand before you today as we inaugurate the Lighthouse Festival 2024 in this historic and vibrant city of Puri in Odisha. This event is a tribute to our Honorable Prime Minister's visionary leadership in preserving and promoting India's rich maritime heritage. It is also reflect our commitment to transform this symbol of our seafaring history into thriving tourism destinations. The Lighthouse Festival 2024 is more than just a celebration, it is a key for promoting tourism at these historic sites. It serves a catalyst for the showcasing India's maritime heritage, promoting sustainable tourism, and engaging local committees. The festival bring to life our collective efforts to preserve the legacy of these lighthouses, while also driving economic growth in the regions surrounding them. In line with this vision, the Ministry of Port Shipping and Waterways has undertaken a transformative mission to showcase the untapped potential of our lighthouses. Through these initiatives, we are not only preserving these historic structures but also enhancing them with modern facilities to offer unique tourism experiences. With an investment of rupees 60 crores, we have developed 75 iconic lighthouses across 9 coastal states and 1 union territory. These lighthouses, which once stood solely and navigational aid from mariners and new vibrant spaces for the recreation, leadering and the community engagement. I extend a warm welcome to all our visitors and tourists who are part of this wonderful journey. These festivals offer the perfect opportunity to visit some of the most iconic lighthouses across the country. From the Falls Point Lighthouse in Odisha, which stands as a sentinel over our eastern shore, to the stunning Vizinjam Lighthouse in Kerala. Is that right pronunciation? Vedingjam, no? Okay. Which offers breathtaking views of Arabian Sea. These locations are steeped in the history and offer modern amenities that make them ideal tourism destination. As you explore the Mahabalipuram Lighthouse in Tamil Nadu, Puducherry, parts near the ancient Shore Temple, or stand at the historic Dwarka Lighthouse in Gujarat, guiding sailors on the western coast, you will experience the rich maritime history that has shaped India's coastline. The Agoda Lighthouse in Goa, a colonial release surrounded by the beautiful landscape and the majestic Dolphin Nose Lighthouse in Andhra Pradesh, overlooking the Bay of Bengal, are more than just structures, they are gateway to our coastal treasures. As like many lighthouses, we waiting for sharing these stories. Each of these 75 iconic lighthouses has been developed with care, offering visits facilities such as museums, amphitheaters, eco-friendly cottage, landscape, surrounding and children's park. To further enhance the experience, 14 of these lighthouses now feature lift facilities, allowing visitors to enjoy panoramic views from the top. We are committed to extending these facilities to more lighthouses in the future. Odisha's coastline is home to 6 historic lighthouses, each of which has served as a guiding lighthouse for maritime and fishermen to continuous. Today, 5 of these are Flashpoint, Gopalpur, Puri, Chandrabhaga, and Paradip has been transformed into vibrant tourism destination. These sites offer visitors to chance to explore Odisha's stunning coastline and rich maritime legacy, while also enjoying modern amenities and facilities. From the Chandrabhaga Lighthouse, situated near the iconic Konark Sun Temple, to the Senor and the picturesque Gopalpur Lighthouse, each site is a perfect blend of history and modern comfort, offering an unforgettable experience for all who visit. I am proud to announce that our efforts are already showing remarkable results. In this year 2023-24, 16 lakh tourists visited our lighthouses and the surrounding site. As of September 2024, we have already welcomed over 10 lakhs visitors. This year promised to exceed the number of these last, underscoring the growth population of lighthouse as distinctions that the growth of popularity of lighthouse offer unique blend of history, adventure and science beauty. This surge in the tourism has had a profound economic impact on these region surrounding these lighthouses. We have created 150 direct jobs for the operation and the maintenance of the site, and over 500 indirect jobs have emerged, supporting hotel, restaurant, transport service, and so many other parts. It can be helped by this. The involvement of local communities and stakeholders has been crucial role play in this ensuring of this authenticity and the success of these initiatives. So, one side, lighthouse has no usable part in the main life, but other side, it can be many role play if we make it exact or perfect place for the tourist or other things. माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने इसको जो सोच दिया, हम लोगों को जो उत्साहित किए हैं, इसको लेके एक बहुत महल तैयार किया जाए, क्योंकि लाइट हाउस बनाया ब्रिटिशर्स ने. हम अभी इसका इस्तेमाल भी नहीं रहा, लेकिन इसको हम एक ऐसा पार्ट दे सके जो काम के लिए और इकोनॉमी के लिए भी अच्छा साबित हो सरकार के लिए. तो मैं मांग करता हूं स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से कि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट और स्टेट गवर्नमेंट मिलके इसका एक अच्छा अंजाम दे. हर एक प्लेस में जहां जहां हमारे ये लाइट हाउसेस है, हम उसको एक बहुत बढ़िया टूरिस्ट प्लेस बनाए और एक विजिबल और एक मनोरम वातावरण तैयार हो, पूरे देश के लोग इसका एंजॉय करें. जैसे 9 कोस्टल स्टेट जो हमारा है, हर एक कोस्टल स्टेट में हमारा कम से कम बहुत सारे ये लाइट हाउसेस हैं. तो इसको धीरे धीरे हम लोग आगे बढ़ाते रहेंगे और ये भी टूरिज्म का एक बहुत बड़ा पार्ट बनेगा भारतवर्ष का. ये माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का फ्यूचर विजन और फ्यूचर थॉट भी हैं। इसको आगे बढ़ाते हुए हमारे तरफ से जितना इसका तरक्की करना पड़े, जितना इसका फैसिलिटेट करना पड़े हमसे, तो हम करेंगे। माननीय सर्बानंद सोनोवाल जी इसको लेके बहुत ही आग्रही हैं कि ये लाइट हाउस का जो पार्ट है ये आगे जाके भारतवर्ष का एक बड़ा इकोनॉमिकल सेक्टर बने। उनका ये प्रयास और हमारा साथ में उनको सहयोगिता करने का जो मौका मिला, इसके लिए माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी को भी हम धन्यवाद देना चाहते हैं। और आज का इस प्रोग्राम को सफल बनाने के लिए आप सबको मैं धन्यवाद करते हुए मेरे बात को यहाँ विराम देता हूँ। जय हिंद, जय भारत।
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your thoughtful insights with us. This Herculean task of curating a lighthouse festival and this tourism conclave could not have been possible without your guidance, and we will always seek your motivation in working harder and achieving better. Thank you so much. Quoting Gulzar Saab again, who says, "Manzile milengi, bhatak kar hi sahi, गुमराह तो वो हैं जो घर से ही नहीं निकलते." अब हम लाइट हाउसेस को प्रमोट करने निकले हैं तो उसी के रोशनी से जग रोशन करेंगे निश्चित रूप से. And DGLL has made wonderful efforts in this regard. We have a very special audio visual that will tell you more about the endeavors. Can we have the AV, please?
India, the home to magnificent lighthouses that have stood as silent sentinels, guiding sailors and telling tales of resilience for generations. With more than 203 lighthouses in India, these beacons of hope have guided countless ships, reminding us that even in the darkest of times, there's always a light to lead us home. The coastline in India is spread almost 7,517 kilometers, from east coast to west coast of India, which face 3 oceans and which are not only the source of trade and commerce but also attract tourists all year long. These lighthouses are going through a transformation and calling the tourists to experience their unique stories and offering the harmonious convergence of India's rich heritage and the collective spirit of its people. With Lighthouse Heritage Tourism, let us embrace the light within us and shine it on the world. Directorate General of Lighthouses and Lightships, under the leadership of Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, Government of India, has decided to tap into the opportunities in tourism at lighthouses and to preserve the heritage value of old lighthouses. The DGLL, playing the pivotal role, has marked 75 lighthouses as tourist attractions, which has always been garnering substantial tourist footfall. Further efforts are made to enhance and develop the existing lighthouses and its surrounding areas into a unique tourism destination and a maritime landmark, thus converting, expanding the lighthouses into heritage museums and National Maritime Museum to showcase our rich maritime heritage. These museums have exhibits on maritime heritage, navigation technology, and the lives of lighthouse keepers, also benefiting the local people by generating employment and other opportunities, thus enhancing the socio-economic possibilities of the region. In every beam of light that cuts through the darkness, in every tale etched in stone, lies the soul of India's lighthouses. Let their stories be heard, their spirits celebrated, and their guiding light forever cherished.
Thank you so much, DGLL. I think like it's the... Can we have a big round of applause for all dignitaries with their absolutely wonderful words of wisdom? They have made this day truly remarkable for each one of us. Thank you. We would once again like to thank Madam Prabhati Parida Shri Shantanu Thakur Shri Suresh Gopi for their enlightening presence at the inaugural session. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now break for tea. So energize yourself with a cup of tea and coffee and come back in 15-20 minutes so that we can start the first technical session. Thank you. Dear guests and delegates, may I request you all to please come back to your seats. We have a vivid presentation coming up on how important lighthouse tourism is in making India a true global tourism destination. So that is going to be truly insightful. We do not want anyone to miss it. So I'm sure you've had your cup of tea and coffee. Please come back to your seats. Ensure that your mobile phones are either switched off or at least kept in silent mode. We'll really appreciate that. May I once again request all the delegates, guests who are still outside. I'm sure you've had your cup of tea and coffee. Please come back to your seats. Keep your mobile phones in silent mode. We're resuming this session in a very short while. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, may I once again request everyone who's still outside to please come take your seats. Sticking to schedule is very important for us at Ministry of Port Shipping, Waterways and DGLL. So without any delay, let me request you again to please settle down, and we will have a vibrant presentation on how Lighthouse tourism is the future of tourism in a country like India that is known across the world for its biodiversity, and how lighthouses will become the brand ambassador of spreading our culture, art and heritage across the globe. And to do the honor of giving this presentation, may I request esteemed Deputy Director DGLL, Shri S. Sarvananji, to please join us on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for esteemed Deputy Director DGLL, Shri S. Sarvananji, who will be giving this wonderful presentation. So,
thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. I welcome you all for the conclave on promotion of tourism at lighthouses. So, as you have witnessed, our honorable ministers, especially our Shantanu Thakur Saab and Shurosh Gobi Saab, they have given their emotional and very attached speech on the lighthouses. Yes, it's a first kind in our country. It means it has a potential to tap for further development. So I just like to share a success story how the DGLL developed these lighthouses and transformed them into a tourist destinations. So next. Next. Yes. Previous. Yes. So before going into the tourism aspect, first I would like to give a brief introduction about DGLL. So DGLL is a central government organization, and we are helping the mariners for the past 9 decades. That is more than 90 years we are providing aids to navigation to the mariners in the form of various aids. As we speak, the lighthouses are the visual aids, so that you can see and you can guide your navigation path. So in the modern ages, we have so many facilities in the form of radio aids. Like we have a differential global navigation satellite system, which is the most accuracy way of your GPS in the mobile, so that you can position in a vast ocean very accurately and you can guide to your destination. And we have a vessel traffic service we are giving in the Gulf of Kutch, which is the busiest shipping sector in our country. So it is almost similar to the air traffic control, that in what speed, in what direction the vessel has to go, so that there should not be a traffic congestion and we can make the shipping industry most efficient. And in order to have a very vigilant and monitoring aspect, we have a national automatic identification system. So the country has a very trustworthy network by which we are monitoring each and every vessels in our coast, and that data has been shared to many stakeholders for surveillance purpose. So these are the brief. So since we are in the tourism sector, so I will not go into much detail about the technical aspect. So but DGLL is the main pillar in the maritime sector that we are silently contributing to the nation's economy. Next, please. Yes. So all the story starts from the our Honorable Prime Minister visions. During the 75th episode of Man Ki Baat, our Honorable Prime Minister suggested that the lighthouses they are waiting for the visitor to tell stories, and it has to be improved for promoting the tourism in the coastal sectors, so that the information about the maritime legacy and history of the nations can be disseminated to the generation, by which we can conserve the legacy of the nation and we can pass on to the sectors. So by his vision, we set objective how the lighthouse tourism to be promoted. With this object, the first one is the tourist destination. Yes, of course, all the lighthouses are in the coastal, serene, beautiful locations. So the destination is all set. And next is the preserve the heritage. Each lighthouse is unique because the establishment of a lighthouse has a purpose. Why we have established such lighthouses. For example, in the coast of Odisha, we have a lighthouse named Falls Point. So it is the oldest lighthouse, I must say. It is built in 1862. And in the old era, the mariners mistakenly enter into the Narmada river instead of Haldia. So in order to give a name, so this is a false point. We should not go in the Narmada Bay, we should go ahead, and so that's why that lighthouse established. So like this, every lighthouse have their unique story, and they are waiting to tell its story to the visitors. The next one is the historical value. Yes, the way we are promoting tourism for the educational, cultural purpose, we have to preserve the historical value also. So that also one of our objective. And the last but not least is the development. Yes, the lighthouse is the center of attraction, but for the visitors, we have to make some more amenities for their comfort and beautiful enjoyment in the lighthouse premises, for which we have made many museums to protect and disseminate the historical values, amphitheaters to hold meetings and conventions within the lighthouse premises, as well as the amenities like we have a restrooms, we have a cafeterias, we have a gazebos, by which the visitor can relax. At the same time, he can enjoy the serenity at the lighthouses. So, how we made the path for the promotion of the tourism at lighthouses? Once we received the instruction from our Honorable Prime Minister, as well as the guidance of our Ministry of Port Shipping and Waterways, we set the statutory framework, because we should not think the promotion of lighthouse is just like a common statement and it can dissolved in an over of time. Yes, we set a statutory framework under our Marine Aids to Navigation Act, which enables the central government to preserve the heritage lighthouses for promotion of tourism, culture, and preserve the heritage values. And based on the statutory framework, we have started our development, and we have built museums, we have built amphitheaters, public amenities at the 75 iconic lighthouses. Plus, as per the feasibility studies and technical requirements, so far we have installed lifts, internal elevator for the visitors to rise at the top of the lighthouse to have a splendid view. So far we have 14 lighthouses with a lift facility, and now we have successfully completed 75 lighthouses as a top tourist destinations. They are waiting to tap their potential. So this is the breakup. Since we are at the conclave, I must say in Odisha we have 6 lighthouses. Out of 6, we developed 5 lighthouses as a tourist destination. And rest of the states like Gujarat, we have developed 17, Maharashtra 06, and Karnataka 5, Kerala 11, Tamil Nadu 15, Odisha 5, West Bengal 3, and in Andaman Nicobar we have developed 2 sites. So out of 203 lighthouse sites, we have developed 75 lighthouses as a tourist destination. So this is the success story we have recorded so far. So if you see the record of the past decade, I must say the development is 12 folds we have developed. 10 years back, it was only 6 sites they are able to give access to the visitors. Now 75 sites are open and they are ready to welcome the visitors. And as you see, the footfall, that is average monthly footfall, it is exponentially, it is increasing. As our Secretary Saab rightly said, these developments works are dedicated to the nation by the Honorable Minister this February 2024. So after which we are witnessing enormous growth in the footfall. As you can see, it is already 400 percentage. So every month we are surpassing the previous month record. So it indicates and it is proving that this lighthouse sector is a booming and it has a lot of potential for further development. So these are some glimpse of the development works we have achieved. So this is the black and white band is the Gujarat Coast Lighthouse, and that is Surathkal, and you can see that's Manapadu in Tamil Nadu. So you can see the beautiful landscaping, so you can have a good meetings and gatherings, and we have footpaths and children's play area. So here you can see the gazebos for the sitting arrangements and cafeterias. So these are the basic amenities we have developed with the investment of nearly about 60 crore rupees. So this is the Kanyakumari lighthouse. This is the only one lighthouse in India that have an external elevator. So while rising at the top, you can enjoy the view from the city. So these are the museums we developed. So far we have developed 6 museums in our lighthouse campuses. So this is a museum in Mahabalipuram. So you can see the lantern, which a person can go inside and can come out. So that much big it is. So you can see the deep sea boya. So these are the artifacts they have preserved and displayed at our museum so that the younger generation, they can understand how the lighthouse technology evolved over the years and how it is contributing to the nation's maritime history. And this is the museum at Alapi, and you can see the shape of the building. It's a ammunition box, a small ammunition box of a historical, like they can store their ammunition while hunting and all. So it's the shape of the building itself is a heritage value. So now we have developed our sites and we are recording what are the outcomes we are anticipating and we are receiving. The first one is the conservation of maritime legacy of our nation. Yes, that we are receiving. And promotion of coastal tourism. As our secretaries have rightly informed, that the cruise tourism sector is booming up from ocean, coastal and river tourism. In the tourism circuit, we can add our lighthouse site also so that the visitor or the traveler, they can enjoy the most. And economic diversification. Once the developments are taken into place, the local community, they are getting much more benefit in terms of traffic, transportation, in terms of hospitality, in terms of their artifacts and other amenities. And eco-tourism awareness, as the lighthouses all in the coastal region, so everybody know the coastal regulations are very strict because we have to preserve the nature as well while development. So we are insisting that all the development should be eco-friendly so that the impact on the environment should be minimum. Then the research and innovation. This is a new concept in the business as well as the tourism sector. So there are so many research they are going on. So what kind of footfall we are anticipating, how much from the domestic, how much from the international, and in what way we can improve the footfall with the innovative ideas. So that also coming up. And international engagement. So we are witnessing many foreign tourists. They are eagerly to visit the lighthouses, especially in the coast of Kerala, Tamil Nadu, as well as in Andhra Pradesh. So the same way, whenever the tour operator can plan the itinerary, they can have a slot for the visit to these lighthouses. So the development of lighthouses in Odisha. So I just give names. So this is the Gopalpur lighthouse. From the Bhubaneswar, it is about 130 kilometers. We have developed gazebos, public amenities, fountain. We have a musical fountain there. And we have developed a beautiful landscaping and seating facilities. This is the Puri Lighthouse, which is the event is happening. So because of the constraint in the land, we have optimally utilized for the positioning the gazebos, pathways, cafeterias, and children play area. So it's a very wonderful, and this lighthouse has a more footfall in Odisha region. And another one is the Chandrabhaga. This is one of the oldest lighthouse near Konark. It's a beautiful tourism place. And here we have a adequate space to accommodate any kind of campaign, advertising campaign or private events. So here also we have made gazebos, cafeterias, and children play area. So this is the Paradeep Lighthouse, about 110 kilometers from Bhubaneswar. So as you can see, the landscapings, the children play areas, cafeterias, etc. So this is the false point, that one, the oldest one that I am referring earlier. So here we made a beautiful landscape arrangement, a complete greenish with a seating and amphitheater as well as a gazebo. Yes, so we have developed the 75 sites. They are waiting for their story to tell to the visitors and to tap their fullest potential. So these are the way forward that we are thinking of. Obviously, from your end also, we will ready to receive any suggestions or any improvement that for the development of these sites. The first one is the tourism circuit. So I am just requesting all the tourism operators and developers to make this lighthouse sites as one of the slot in their itinerary so that the visitor can visit and enjoy what is lighthouse and what is its maritime legacy, etc. The second one is integrated marketing and digital platform. Our lighthouse sites are historical and holding a rich cultural value. So if any agency, they are looking to have a specific historical significance in their campaign, they can utilize our lighthouse sites as a platform so that it can reach to many people. And community involvement, the gazebos, the cafeterias, the musical fountains, they are already in place. So we can engage the local communities and tour operators for operating and maintaining them for the maintenance and visitors purpose. The last but not least, the sustainable and eco-friendly tourism practices. So while developing these sites for the events, we can use these sites for a nature's walk, for bird watching and maritime heritage tour. So these are the 4 sectors now we are looking into for the further development. So I am ready to receive any questions or any clarifications in this regard. Thank you.
Can we have a round of applause for Shri S. Saravanan, esteemed Deputy Director, DGLL. That truly was an insightful presentation. Thank you for giving that personal touch of beautification to each of these historic lighthouses. That will speak for itself when it comes to the region's culture and heritage, and will go a long way in giving India the tourism boost it definitely needs. And on that note, we will quickly move on to the first technical session of the day. I'll take this opportunity to set the theme, which is Lighthouse Tourism and Heritage. And may I request our speakers, Shri Kapil Mohanji, esteemed former Chief Secretary, Government of Karnataka, Shri Devashish Mishra, President Ekta, Shri Vinay Tripathi ji, a content creator in National Geography and a very well-known media personality, Shri Dinesh Khannaji, renowned photographer who has been a part of Cannes Festival and has beautifully captured Rashtrapati Bhavan through his lenses, and the moderator who is a well-known entrepreneur, advertising and digital marketing expert, Shri Gaurav Nagar, to please join us on stage. Everyone, give it up for the panel. Can we have a big round of applause for all the speakers who have decades of experience and expertise? We are looking forward to hear from them. And I was expecting a louder round of applause, everybody, please, for the first technical session of the day. And may I request the Deputy DG to please join us on stage and present bouquets of fresh flowers to the panelists. Shri Madhukar Gudadheji, do we have you here, sir? I'll request Shri Madhukar Gudadheji, esteemed Deputy Director General, DGLL, to do the honor of presenting bouquets of fresh flowers to the speakers. It's an absolute honor to have such dignitaries sharing their thoughts on lighthouse tourism and heritage. The host team welcoming them with a special gesture of giving fresh flowers and Angavastra. A bright sight on stage it is. Thank you, Shri Gudadhe, for doing the honors. And may I request the moderator to please take the session forward. And these smiling faces says a lot about the success of the tourism conclave. And over to the moderator.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, speakers, and esteemed audience. I'm Gaurav. And it's an absolute honor to be your moderator today at this important event by Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways and DGLL. Lighthouses, those silent sentinels of the sea, have been guiding ships for the centuries, serving as symbols of safety and trust for seafarers worldwide. However, as we advance technologically and preservation and conservation of these historical beacons have been critical for safeguarding both our maritime heritage and the cultural identity they represent. Before we proceed, let's take a moment to acknowledge the role of Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways and DGLL. This ministry has been instrumental in developing India's maritime infrastructure, enhancing the efficiency of ports and modernizing our shipping systems and navigation for all the mariners. But what often goes unnoticed is the ministry's commitment to preserving maritime heritage, particularly the conservation of our lighthouses. The ministry has been working tirelessly to restore and preserve these majestic structures, which are not only vital to navigation but also bear historical and cultural significances. Lighthouses along India's coastline are now being promoted as tourist attractions, blending historical preservation with sustainable tourism. Let us go further and move on to the first session of the day, which comes to the lighthouse tourism heritage. As much as I remember, we have studied about lighthouses before as well. When we were in school, we were taught that these are the lighthouses and they work like this. That's it. But in meantime, in last few years, when the ministry started promoting these things, when Prime Minister got involved into this thing and started promoting lighthouses as tourism, we started hearing many things. Things started coming in front of us, and as much as I understand, this is not particularly possible for government to do these all things together. We need to come up with the technology, we need to come up with the media, we need to come up with the tourism, we need to come up with the finances, and we need to come up with the government to make sure that we are making lighthouses as a tourism spot, and they should come in front. Now, we have some very intellectual and very wonderful speaker between us who are having decades of experiences into the same industry. They know much more than what can be done, what need to be done, and how exactly this has to be roadmapped, so that we can execute the plan and we can make sure the lighthouses become the very interesting tourism spot, and tourists can actually, whenever I got chance to go to some lighthouses, be it Aguada, be it Kanyakumari, got the chance to visit Puri, and what beautiful locations, what wonderful history do they have, and the way they have been structured, the way they are being promoted now, I feel very interested, and let's take it further and let's welcome Mr. Kapil Mohan, Mr. Debashish Mishra, Mr. Dinesh Khanna, and Mr. Vinay Tripathi. Let us have a talk show. Let us come out from the speech thing. I've been an engineering student. और engineering में ना सबसे गंदा time होता था जब हमें speeches सुनने पड़ते थे. I always used to feel, if I have to learn something, I need to talk about it. बात होने से बात बनेगी. और जब तक बात नहीं होगी, कोई बात नहीं बनने वाली. So let us have a talk show. Let's talk. Let's know how do they think about it and how exactly are we going to execute these plans. Maybe we will come up with the new ideas. You will have something more to tell once you come out of this hall. जब आप अपने घर जाएंगे, जब आप अपने friends और colleagues से मिलेंगे, family से मिलेंगे, you will have much more information about lighthouses. You will know why they should also visit these lighthouses and why lighthouses are important for the history and for the next generation to know about it. Let's move further and let me give a brief introduction about the speakers, and then we'll move on to the speakers and let's hear about them. I'll start with Mr. Kapil Mishra. Our speaker, Mr. Kapil Mohan brings a wealth of experience from his long and distinguished career in civil service. Ex-Chief Secretary for Tourism Infrastructure and Inland Water Transport in Karnataka, and of course G20. He has led key initiatives across various sectors, including the power and infrastructure industries. His extensive experience with infrastructure development is crucial to the conversation we are having today about positioning lighthouses not only as historical monument but as viable tourism destination as well. Sir, your work in port infrastructure gives you a unique perspective on importance of lighthouses. Could you share how government initiative can support and transformation of these sites into tourist attraction while ensuring their preservation as well? Sir.
Greetings, everybody. Thank you. The speaking part has been made a talk show. I'm very grateful. And worse than speeches, in my opinion, please do not mind our PowerPoint presentations. But still, coming as to what the role of the state, well, the state in India has a very important role, and the lighthouses actually are owned by state. It's a very interesting stage where what was erstwhile a navigational aid is sought to be transformed into a tourism destination. By nature, the lighthouses have great locations and by the original function, and they occupy the most scenic spots. I am basically worked more into the ports and the maritime sector, but also had some tourism given to me because of G20 events happening. In that, we came across, Mr. Ramchandran had also written to develop lighthouses, and lighthouses mystique had attracted also. So I'm going to take a small example of something which was done, and I leave to you to draw lessons from that rather than me telling it. So there is a place which we have talked about, very beautiful work has been done in a lot of lighthouses. There's something known as Udupi in Karnataka, which is a place known as Kapu. There's a lighthouse. Now that lighthouse, well, as lighthouses go, very attractive, very located close to the beach. Also, it is also, from a heritage point of view, very close to something known as St. Mary's Island. St. Mary's Island are actually our island which are made of volcanic rock of basaltic kind, which are octagonal in shape, and there are very few examples of such in the world. So a lot of people come to see that. Also, Mr. Vasco da Gama, as he had traveled all the way from Portugal in 15th century, landed first in these islands, where he watered and all, and then went southwards towards Calicut, now Kozhikode. So, and he actually named them, he planted a cross, as was the wont those days, and named it St. Mary's, hence the St. Mary's Island. So there's a lot of history, and there were certain local battles and all. So there was a beach, there was a heritage, there was and all those things. And so a lot of people, because of geographical attraction, were coming. Now, apart from the incentives of the lighthouse department, so what the local bodies did was that the access road was broadened, and then tourism infrastructure facilities were created, which is basically restaurants, coffee spots and things like that. Most importantly, maintain the beaches in their pristine condition. So there was a steady increase in the tourism population. In fact, Lighthouse Point now has become a part of the tourist circuit. So the popularity of success can be gauged that if you go to Udupi and you hire a cab, so all the 4, 5, 6 items, which the cab driver will say, he will say, in the evening we'll go to the Lighthouse Point. So the crowd has been increasing, the footfalls in the lighthouse. This lighthouse is not in the list which has already been developed, but it is proposed to be developed. Even without that, the footfalls increased to 20,000. With the other incentives, initiatives which can be taken, the footfalls we estimate can go up to 1 lakh per day, which is very, very doable. But when we do that, we have to see also, the critical planning for this thing, sanitation, sewage, whether the lighthouses itself can take such a load. Is hardly 2-acre compound, but it has got beach and things like that. What I am trying to hint is that there has to be close coordination in the environs of the lighthouse, also to make it a destination. Much as we bemoan about lot of heritage structures in India, but we do not get that many tourists. The point is The point that you have a great product does not necessarily mean that people are going to come. That's the key to tourism. People are going to come because of accessibility, knowledge about this, accessibility and ease of going over there. Then your great product will come to the fore. So my only one fear is, as a state, we are very good in creation of infrastructure or the hard things. We should also invest a lot of time into the soft. The soft is the communication, the marking. In a small thing, like marking there are 6 lighthouses in the west coast in Karnataka on Google Maps. So there are a lot of people, if you follow this road runner and things like that, have started writing their itineraries about how they make each lighthouse and track. Some lighthouses they track, some they go walk and all those things. So communication is great, very, very important. And so that we need to create that story around that product, that we start to invest into this thing. Secondly, public-private partnership is very essential for marketing this as a tourism product, please. If you want to get people to come over there, that's where the private sector excels much more than the state does. The state is very good in creation of the infrastructure, but not necessarily in the soft. So we should actually go towards that and move to the stage 2. Now that would require a close coordination between the local government, means the local municipal organization or the panchayat bodies and the state government, various departments, and the department of the lighthouse, which has the product, who are also investing in their product by way we saw. They are improving them and maintaining them. They are creating facilities to some infrastructure, toilets, bathroom, pergolas, doing the landscaping. So that close coordination has to take place. Also, we have to keep in mind that most of the lighthouses by nature, because they are scenic, also have very tough regulation. And that is where the CRZ and all comes. So that itself also takes a lot of time. There is a lot of lead time for any infra to be created, because you have to comply and take approvals to do anything in the coastal regulatory zone. So what I am saying, each lighthouse should be treated as an individual product. We should have a framework, but for each a new development plan has to be made where everybody comes to know what their roles are, and then we slowly move on to it. Parallelly, we have to start doing the soft component of that, which is marketing, these days digital communication, developing products like virtual reality. I'm sorry, light and sound is history, okay? VR and other products. I'll end this by saying that it is estimated that in Kapu Udupi area, around the lighthouse area and extending another 4 kilometers up to St. Mary's Island, the tourist economy is estimated in the region of around 250 to 300 crores. These are early days yet. And if you believe that land prices are any indication, there can be many ifs and buts about it, of the economic potential of that area. Since this development has started around that, the land prices have trebled in the last 3 years. That is almost 100% increase in the prices almost every year. So there is a lot of growth potential here, and I hope that this coordination activity between the organs of the state and DGLL happen, and that is institutionalized. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kapil sir. I have a very basic question, sir, to ask. Maybe people of my age might be having the same question. Whenever we modernize something, right, we are talking about developing this lighthouses as a tourism spot, and we need a lot of modern development there for very sure. As you are very deeply involved in the infrastructure as well, you told us some very wonderful numbers. It took me a second to take it inside. Yes, this is going to be this big. Now, when we modernize something, most of the time it happens that we basically lose the historical essence of that place. It happens many a time, and we have seen it very much. Now, my basic question is, sir, what is your suggestion? How can we make sure that tourism will be developed at the same place. Infrastructure will be developed because it is needed. Tourism is about accessibility and ease, as you said. But we need to make sure the history is also preserved well and this does not lose the essence. What is your suggestion in that, sir?
So when I said we should use public-private partnership, basically public-private has a public also and a private component. So broadly, for any successful public-private partnership things to develop, I believe that lighthouses did not have much success in PPP. The reason is that you have to take out certain activities which have to be done by the state. The creation of infrastructure in India generally is not revenue generating. Okay? So nobody is going to make toilet from their money, okay, for public. I mean, very simple. Drinking water or rest houses or bus stops. Now these are common public infrastructure which have to be done by us. There's something has to be done by the private sector which is soft component. Now where does the heritage fall in that? So heritage, in my opinion, as of now, the state will have to take a lead into this. And I told you that when each lighthouses, you have to weave a story. And I meant in the one of the story, the elements would be, in case of, for example, of Udupi, the one which I gave, one strand was the unique geography. The second strand was about Mr. Vasco da Gama, landing over there in the 15th century. Well, whether they like it or not, it's part of our heritage, okay? So they went, they came and they settled, some of them absorbed here, opened them the trade and all. So that's the heritage component of that. Now you can have a heritage over there and talk about Portuguese, when they come, their influence, which states they have influenced. There are certain lasting influences, even in our language. There are a lot of words which have actually Portuguese in origin, which you don't realize. So that sort of a thing. So you can have, and then of course, I don't want to say, but in Udupi, actually is known as Temple District. So you can have, it has many famous temples, right? So you can weave a story around that. And this mute but ever-present lighthouse has seen it all. So whatever has happened in the last few years, you can do that. Particularly, I think in the neglected areas of maritime heritage, this is one area where we should use the lighthouses. They have some lands over there also which are uniquely situated, which should be actually, we should put our museum and the local heritage there. That's the prime land which they hold. So that is there. Your restaurants and your other revenue activities come at the periphery or nearby areas. There the PPP will come. That's why I said you should have a master plan on the components of which the state is going to do. The state can be either the state government or the central union government in forms of lighthouses, MOSPW, and then which will be done by the local government. There are many governments, right? The local government or the state governments will do. So that master plan, if we create, we will certainly end up with with something, a complete product, which will also address the concerns which you said about heritage. So most of the lighthouses do have a very rich heritage, okay?
Truly, sir. As Secretary, sir, he was telling, I was understanding the name of each lighthouse, that they do have a story. And your major point that public-private partnership has to be mastered perfectly and then executed. Thank you so much, Kapil sir, and then with that we will move on to our second speaker, Mr. Devashish Mishra. Let me have a quick introduction before. Our second speaker of the session, Mr. Devashish Mishra, is a veteran of the travel industry with over 3.5 decades of experience. He is currently the president of EKTA, E-K-T-A-A, sir, am I pronouncing this right? TTA, okay. The Enterprising Knot of Travel and Tourism Associates, a professional society dedicated to the growth and development of travel business in Odisha. As an ardent traveler himself, Mr. Mishra has first-hand experience of the evolving trends in both domestic and international tourism. His insights into the tourism industry will shed light on how we can unlock the potential of lighthouse tourism in India. Sir, as the discussion, when you have worked with Thomas & Cooks for more than 11 years in the travel industry, as we go through the numbers, as we just saw in the presentation, there are 203 lighthouses with a coastal line of 7,500 kilometers. It is huge, right? And as much as I understand, when the tourism comes, this does not only help the lighthouse, it will help the local areas as well for the businesses. It will generate employment, it will generate a lot of development around that. As sir mentioned, there are a lot of rise is going to happen in that area. how do you see, sir? How do you see the tourism of lighthouses, as you have been to this industry for more than 36 years, as you mentioned? Do you think, sir, lighthouse tourism will be executed?
First of all, thank you, Gaurav, and thank you everybody for being here. This subject is new to many, but this has been there as a history, as I said, heritage. Interesting part of my intervention, being a tour operator for years now, is not only development. Infra development, as Sir Kapil Sir said, will be done by state mostly. But the soft part of it, which is where we come into the picture, where we stand, and we have to figure out how it should develop. A comprehensive plan, sir already said, I completely agree with it. Comprehensive plan would include what? The nitty-gritties of this discussion is actually ending up where, why should people come down somewhere, which has been historically there, fine, there's a story, we can talk about the story, but then is it that? We need to have engaging stories. We need to have immersing stories. As long as we can engage tourists, I'm talking about my customer's point of view, because I look at that part. When I see what people go for, that purpose, when somebody asked me what is the difference between travel and a tour, very basic question. I think in this house, everybody will have a different perspective of talking about it and answering it different way. But you know, the basic answer of that is the purpose. A travel is moving from here to here, point A to point B. But tour is a purpose. Without a purpose, there is no tour. I can be a scavenger. I'm just moving around. I have no idea, no purpose. So our idea to create purposes of people coming down to lighthouses, which are heritage in nature, which are rich in culture. Now we got to stitch around stories around it, immersive stories around it. If we don't do that, we might have growth initially. See, it's always very good to see a 0 to 1 growth. There is nothing and then something coming in, as Sir said, and everybody is giving numbers, which is looking very, very interesting and very, very captivating. But the fact of the matter is, will we be able to sustain those numbers and continue growing with the same rate? Now, if our growth rate is declining also, growth is happening, but in a decline rate, is not good story. So, as Deputy Chief Minister, Honorable Deputy Chief Minister told that when we have Samudra Manthan, we'll have some nectar coming and some poison. Right. So, I'm talking about the poison part of it. Are we really up for that challenge? And there the PPP mode comes in, where you got to engage people and the local community who will contribute in a very, very lucid manner to reach out to the folklore. People coming and finding that is essential. Now we have a culture of our own in Odisha. Gujarat has its own culture. Blend it with the lighthouse heritage. Put it together. Maybe, as I said, the visual media, audio media has become very... Now, I know water fountain and all these things are visible, but that is not important. What is important is people should go with those small electrovisual activities where you can actually feel, see that how a lighthouse is built. Some engagement, maybe 5 minutes audiovisual. That is to be in a screen, maybe have a small theater. Like, I remember I went to Ekta Nagar, that Statue of Unity, where there is 3 languages that continuously running the history of Sardar Patel as well as the construction of the statue. Right. Same you find construction of the London Eye. Same you find your Burj Khalifa. All these buildings have been constructed. Now these lighthouses must have been constructed. Figure out their history. Figure it out, put it in a small nutshell, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, maximum, not more. Engage them. Make engaging activities, cultural activities around the folklore of that particular area where the lighthouse. Now it is, as said, everything is specific one-to-one. You cannot have one comprehensive plan for all. Every lighthouse, if you are trying to promote as a tourism product, has to have its own comprehensive plan, having everything covered, including the local culture, heritage in place, no tampering with what it is originally and what it should be, and then you can go forward. Then I can think that, yes, we will be able to sail it. And I would actually encourage all my tour operator friends and colleagues in my community that put lighthouses, at least these 5, to start with. We have to take the torch bearing of actually putting in our itineraries and putting it across, maybe all ticketed activities because that will get you sustainability. So my take on this is we can go forward slow but in this structured manner. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So wonderful. Like, I got the point that the history has to come in a form of a story, right? You have been in tourism industry for Odisha. You have been promoting this thing, and you have invested a lot of time here in Odisha tourism. How do you think, sir, when we, as you mentioning these 5 names of lighthouses, how the local communities will be benefited? What all opportunities will be coming to them as a tourism when they are developing for these lighthouses?
Yeah, as I said, see, in each lighthouse point where we have, every small village around that has their own culture. We got to actually showcase them through this lighthouse activity to promote tourism. Accessibility is one. Some places we see in Odisha also, like out of the 5 also, there is some issues of accessibility which is being worked upon by the state, which is perfect. But we need to actually engage local folk activities, which is very, very strong in Odisha. Odisha is highly rich in culture, highly rich. People have not noticed many of such activities. We have so much of data related to, if you talk about Buddhism somewhere, you talk about temple culture, we got to project those in small nutshells and make engagement with people. If we don't engage tourists to stay there for at least half an hour or an hour, nobody will come. It's not be worth it. Right. Now, everywhere, engagement is pretty essential. So, immersive activities. And every of these lighthouse locations I have personally surveyed has very strong. Somewhere it is wildlife, somewhere it is local culture, somewhere it is forms of dance and temple tourism. Put together, you can always showcase through the lighthouses. So I would see, if we don't get into this, I'm again coming back to the same point and I'm brooding over it because I know this is the only one that we have to push ahead and we will contribute. That is a promise that we will definitely contribute because the first step is taken. We will contribute our part, that I will always encourage all my colleagues in the travel trade, being a leader of a community of travel agencies in Odisha. We will always try to talk everybody to put, like we did in Kala Bhumi, there is a museum, which is a very international level museum in Odisha, which has come up last few years. And we have encouraged all of our members to put that in their itinerary for sure. See, today the tourism is not to see a monument, no? You got to know how this monument came into being, who made this, what are the stories, there are dark stories, there are light stories, there are so many stories about it. If you don't immerse, make people engaged, I'm sorry. So I'm talking about that only. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm so sure about the point. You got a chance to speak to some localites yesterday, and they were so emotionally attached with the rituals, what they have. So true, sir. It is gonna definitely help for the local communities as well. Let us move for the third speaker, and I have some wonderful introduction in front of you, Mr. Dinesh Khanna. Our third speaker for today is someone whose work reflects the deep connection between culture and imagery. Mr. Dinesh Khanna is a renowned photographer for over 30 years of experience in capturing India's rich culture and architectural heritage. His body of work seamlessly combines commercial and personal projects, telling stories that resonate with the both and beauty and the complexity of India. He has worked with the top advertisement agencies, corporates, and NGOs as well. And his camera has preserved the essence of India's marginalized communities and heritage landmark alike. His books, such as Bazaar, Living Faith, President's Bodyguard, and Life at Rashtrapati Bhavan, masterpieces that reflects his unique vision. Most recently, his work has been commissioned by Rashtrapati Bhavan and Sahapedia, further cementing his role as a cultural documentation. Sir, if I see the numbers, if I see the pointers in front of me, you have covered the local streets and the Rashtrapati Bhavan. This is a huge journey, a huge step. How do you see, sir? You are well traveled. You have been through you have been an eye how the tourism of India looks. How do you think, sir, how lighthouses are going to be used as a tourism spot and how are they going to benefit this country?
Thank you very much for having me on this panel, and it's been a pleasure listening right from the ministers onwards to the two experts we've listened to on the panel till now. I come from the city of Delhi, and the only architectural feature there which I could think which was similar to the lighthouse was the Qutub Minar. So my idea of a tower or my idea of a tall structure is the Qutub Minar. However, I was first introduced to a lighthouse because my elder daughter Myra, she was working as a diving instructor in the Andamans in a place called Chidiya Tapu. And she was stationed there for about 2.5 years, working as a scuba diver. And that's the first time I actually walked close to a lighthouse and stood and looked up at it, and I realized what a fabulously tall structure this actually is. Because till then, one had only seen photographs of the lighthouse, one had only seen, some kind of, maybe out of some kind of documentary, and one didn't realize how imposing and how magnificent the structure really is. And I think that is one of the things, and I'm sorry I'm taking this a slightly roundabout way of getting to it, is how I, as a photographer or as a person who wants to experience life and communicate about life, takes these things forward. The other thing which struck me when I was hearing the speeches today and when I was first approached by Nikhil to come and talk on this panel, is that the lighthouse is a light emitting object. Whereas photography, which is what I have dealt with for the last 35 years as a professional and 50 as an amateur, is something which uses light to make images. So lighthouses are emitting light, and me and my profession is something which has been using light to take it in. So I found that thing very, very interesting, that there is this beautiful link between photography and lighthouses, which is light. And as some of you might know, the word photography comes from the Latin words really, photo and graphy, where photo means light and graphy means writing with light. So I will not even talk about things like infrastructure, I will not even talk about the other things here, but I will talk about the human experience of using light to be able to talk about lighthouses and how to then involve, as was rightly said, the private sector or the people who are going there to experience the lighthouses. One of the things which not even mentioned till now, that we've talked about the 7,500 kilometer sea coast, which our fabulous country has, and the 203 lighthouses which dot this sea coast, is the fact that India has this unique situation where some of our coast looks at the sunrise and some of our coast looks at the sunset. Now, can you imagine if we were to promote lighthouses as the point from which you would go and photograph sunrises, or switch the coast and go to that coast next and go and photograph the sunsets there? The sheer magnificence of that natural, experience will take a person beyond just the lighthouse experience, but actually using the lighthouse as, in a way, an anchor to tell people that's where you need to go, that's where you need to see out into the sea, out into the ocean, and experience that light which is coming in the morning or that light which is fading as it goes away in the evening. That experience, to my mind, is what affects people on a personal basis. That's what makes it more poetic, that's what makes it more lyrical, that's what makes it more visual. I 100% agree the fact that you need amenities, the fact that you need hotels, restaurants, etc. But having said that, once a person is there, they need to understand what is it that they're going to do with that. Yes, you've seen the lighthouse, but the lighthouse is not doing anything for you today. What is happening around the lighthouse, very rightly as mentioned by you, whether it's in the immediate vicinity or whether it's in the culture of the place or whether it's in the people of the place, is very important. Something which all of us do, some of us laugh at, for instance, is taking selfies. Can you imagine if each of these lighthouses had a selfie point or 2 selfie points where you told people, this is where you stand, take a selfie and you'll get the lighthouse in the perfect position, including the sunset or the sunrise behind it. All right? And encourage people to then share that on social media, which is where everyone seems to exist and live nowadays, and put up those photographs or those little videos onto Instagram, onto Facebook, and you can imagine how, without paying a naya paisa, you will have hundreds and thousands of ambassadors who will promote all these lighthouses for you, not just within their own families and their friends, but because social media today cuts across, potentially actually you can reach the entire world. And if this was then turned into something like a contest on a biannual basis, an annual basis, on a state-wise basis, on a particular circuit basis, I mean, that I would leave to experts like you, sir. You would have better ideas about that. But I think that is what you really need to do, is to get that human involvement with what is a structure which has been standing there for many years. This is where I would like to say in my part.
Thank you so much, sir. As you mentioned the social media part, I come from the same industry, and how I feel is, if there is a selfie being uploaded by me, for sure my friends are gonna be jealous and like, मैं भी जाऊंगा यार, इधर तो जाने का बनता है, इसने अकेले कैसे घूम के आ गया. So social media runs on competitions. So for very sure, social media will help out. And the way you have explained the photography, I haven't even imagined the same way as you have done. Sir, how do you feel? You have been into heritage so much. Can Lighthouse be so iconic as well the other heritage site you have shoot before?
I totally agree with the point which has been made about, at the end of the day, the lighthouse is one structure, but a structure has value if it has history or if it's associated with the culture of a place. If we make enough efforts, whether through the government's efforts or whether I would say ideally through whether there's people who write history, etc., to bring out the culture and what has been the history of that particular lighthouse. As you mentioned, two of the books I've done over the years are called Bazaar and Living Faith. And the reason I did those two books really is not because I chose them as subjects, but having spent about 10 years traveling around everywhere in India. I promise you I've traveled all over India. It's been my, I would say it's a blessing for me that photography has taken me all over the place. I realized that most of Indian life is actually lived in the bazaar or in faith, in how we deal with faith. And we are one of those unique countries which have absolutely no qualms about this, doing this publicly. We don't need to go inside our churches and inside our temples and inside our mosques to be able to express our faith. We do it very openly and everywhere, all right? Similarly, we don't only do our merchandising and our selling in malls or in air-conditioned markets. We do it right there on the pavement, on the street corner, and everything. So one way of involving the local people, I would think, is if those bazaars or the local, like you rightly said, that if, for instance, Udupi is known as the temple town, let that become the beginning point of why a person should go there. And having been there, let that taxi driver say, यही नहीं, पांचवी जगह मैं आपको लेके जाऊंगा, वो यहाँ का लाइट हाउस है. और वो आदमी कहे कि हाँ, लाइट हाउस पे मेरे को जाना था, मैं सोचा था, क्योंकि मैंने किसी की लीनिंग टावर और पिज्जा की फोटो देखी थी, वहाँ पे आदमी खड़ा था, वहाँ देख रहा है, अरे वहाँ के टावर की क्यों फोटो लेनी है, आप अपनी लाइट हाउस की फोटो लो ना यहाँ पे आके. So it's, how you weave the stories, how you make people more emotional about it. To my mind, that's how you get people to connect with things like this.
Thank you so much, sir. So as I connect your and Devashish sir's point, that let it not be just another building, let it have a story, and let it have a story.
Please, I don't want to be, beaten up once I step out of here. I'm not saying it's not just another building. No. The lighthouse is important. It remains the anchor. It remains the beacon. All I'm saying is you need a human connect with any building, whether it's the lighthouse or whether it's Qutub Minar. If there's no reason for me to have a link with the Qutub Minar, मैं दिल्ली में रहता हूँ, मैं गुड़गांव में रहता हूँ, दिल्ली जब भी आता हूँ मैं वो कुतुब मीनार को क्रॉस करता हूँ. But I promise you I don't keep looking at the Qutub Minar and say, oh my God, what a lovely monument, okay? Because in a way it's kind of receded into the background and just become another architectural piece. However, if I have a guest who comes into Delhi for the first time maybe, one of the places I'll definitely tell them, you have to go and see the Qutub Minar, right? That's my emotional connect. So that's what I'm talking about. So let's not just treat these as these monuments which are there or these buildings which have been created. But once you bring out the histories, once you bring out the connect with contemporary times and what a person can do there, to my mind, that is what strengthens the entire connection.
Thank you so much, Dinesh sir. And let's move on to the final speaker of the panel today, Mr. Vinay Tripathi. Is not only a talented photographer, but also a storyteller with a deep connection to India's heritage, especially Varanasi, the world's oldest living city. His career began at an impressively young age as a film critic, and he has since delved into photography, cinematography, and brand promotion. His works have been featured in prominent national and international publications, and he has even showcased his photography and exhibitions at prestigious galleries. Through his lens, Vinay captured his timeless essence of India, whether it's the bustling streets or ancient monuments. Vinay, I have been a big fan of your photography before as well, and I have mentioned this thing to you many a times. You have just executed 2 exhibitions, one in Varanasi and one at Lucknow, if I'm not wrong. How do you see, you have been to Varanasi and you have been to that heritage and you have a wonderful story to tell. How do you see lighthouses getting positioned at the same way?
Jai Jagannath, and thank you all lovely people listening to us. It was just a coincidence. Few days back, I was watching a Epic channel, and there was a show about the lighthouse on our. It was a much detailed show, and it was just wonderful to know. And suddenly, in front of me, just few days back, I got an opportunity that I have to come here, and I was very excited. So, एक चीज़ जहाँ से मैं शुरू करूँगा कि पुरी और बनारस का भी बहुत अच्छा कनेक्शन है. We have our own Jagannath temple in Varanasi. It's a huge temple, but many people don't know about it. सबसे बड़ी बात क्या कि कैमरामैन होने का, फोटोग्राफर होने का एक बेनिफिट भी है कि हम, जैसे एक बार मोदी जी ने कहा था कि झोला उठा के चल देंगे, तो हम झोला उठा के कैमरा रख के और बहुत ही रॉ तरीके से घूमते हैं और लाइफ के बहुत डिफरेंट एसेंस को वी जस्ट सी थ्रू कैमराज. लास्ट ईयर आई हैड बीन टू 2 लाइट हाउसेज इन गुजरात. एक मैं वहाँ पे गया था द्वारकाधीश के पास, और इवन इन गोवा ऑल्सो. एंड फॉर्चुनेटली आई गॉट अ चांस टू गो अपस्टेयर्स यूज़ करके ऊपर गया. जो चीज़ एक कैमरामैन होने के थ्रू द थिंग जो कि बहुत अट्रैक्ट करती है, एक इमोशनल कनेक्ट एंड स्पिरिचुअल कनेक्ट भी होता है. बिकॉज स्पिरिचुअलिटी जब हम कभी हाइट पे होते हैं, व्हेन वी आर अप समवेयर, सो व्हेन वी सी द वर्ल्ड, द प्रॉब्लम्स लुक्स वेरी स्मॉल, बहुत छोटी लगने लगती हैं बहुत सारी समस्याएं. तो सिर्फ इसलिए नहीं कि एक वंडरफुल विजन है, एंड वी नो दैट कि जितने भी लाउट हाउसेस हैं हमारे पास 203 और समथिंग इन ऑल ओवर इंडिया, सारे बहुत ही यूनिक एंड वंडरफुल लोकेशंस पे हैं, वेयर द लैंड, द वाटर एंड द स्काई ऑल टुगेदर दे मीट. Sir was saying it's wonderful that we have certain things like in east area and the west area जहाँ सुबह शाम दोनों का कनेक्ट हो सकता है. So बनारस में जैसे कि ये कार्यक्रम है टूरिज्म के बारे में, तमाम चीज़ों के बारे में, वी आर वेरी लकी कि आई लिव इन वाराणसी. कल्चरल हेरिटेज बहुत रिच है, everyone wants to visit. Even it's kind of Makkah for all the photographers who wants to visit, because each and every part, every lane, every street, the ghats, even the temples, and thousands things which attracts a lot, and the people just get lost in it. And for 15 years I'm into photography. I'm a storyteller, so sometime I do suppose a temple I just like most, or a certain lane I like most, so I take my characters and do and shoot. And recently I did an exhibition 2-3 times, and it was very appreciated. So lots of international friends in the sense the photographers, whoever come in Varanasi, they just want to see city through in a different way, not in a like listing part of thing कि there is a आरती and there is a temple. They have certain things कि ये दुकान है, ये मकान है. So whenever they say, so I just ask them what you want to see exactly. Some has some spiritual points, some has some educational points, some has some musical kind of thing, and Varanasi has everything. And every city has, I must believe that every city has something like that. अब एक चीज़ जो गंगा किनारे जैसे बनारस को, सुबह बनारस वहाँ बहुत फेमस है, और बनारस टूरिज़्म में अभी शायद बहुत अच्छा जा रहा है. जहाँ तक मैंने देखा है कि गोवा से भी ज़्यादा लोगों ने विज़िट किया लास्ट ईयर. और हम यहाँ टूरिज़्म की बात कर रहे हैं, वहाँ पे बहुत लोगों ने जैसे हमने वहाँ गंगा आरती की शुरुआत की, जो कि पहले से भी इवनिंग में होता था, बट मॉर्निंग में नहीं होता था। अब मुझे नहीं पता कि समुद्र आरती जैसी कोई चीज़ नहीं हो सकती, बट लाइट हाउस जो है एक बहुत ही स्पिरिचुअल कनेक्ट वाली जगह है। एंड not only Indian आपके tourists, the foreigners will love to visit if there will be some cultural musical event, if you include it in the evening or something. Before that, जैसे sir was mentioning, एक आपका कोई person who can arrange a heritage kind of thing, जैसे they can brief the tourist about the certain things, and then later on whatever. Because as I have seen the PDF and presentation, there's a lots of things are going on there. Because when I was in the Goa and when I was just going up, so it was quite risky to go there. But I have seen there is a one lighthouse जहाँ पे lift भी लगा दिया है, जो risk होता है. Because you know I started a heritage walk in Varanasi, not for the earning kind of thing, but by showing those who are really very interested. And believe me, lots of people just wants to go there. And nowadays some bureaucrats also joining me. Because उनको बहुत समय होता नहीं, but they just started loving and going. Because once they know about the certain things about their own city, वो खुद जब 2-3 बार जाने लगे और उन्हें बहुत अच्छा लगा. अभी आई एम जस्ट गेटिंग कॉल फ्रॉम DM कमिश्नर फ्रॉम एवरीवेयर कि दे जस्ट वांट टू गो फॉर अ डिफरेंट एक्सपीरियंस. सो डेफिनेटली यहाँ का जो चार्म है जगन्नाथपुरी का, मैं यहाँ बैठा और नॉट ओनली अबाउट दिस कि हमारे जितने भी हम जगहों के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, लाइट हाउस के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, हर जगह की अपनी एक कहानी, अपनी एक स्टोरी है. सो जो पर्सनल माय पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू कि एक स्पिरिचुअल कनेक्ट को उसको ज़्यादा आप एम्बेरस करें और साथ में स्कूल्स कॉलेजेस के ट्रिप्स करवाइए. बिकॉज यू नो जैसे सर ने कहा कि हाँ कि ही वाज जस्ट क्रॉसिंग कुतुब मीनार फॉर एवरी डे. जैसे अपने शहर में हम बहुत सारी चीज़ों को नहीं, बट बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि अपने शहर में लोग अपनी चीज़ों को नहीं देखते हैं. और मैं जब हेरिटेज वॉक स्कूल्स के लिए करवाता हूँ तो देयर आर लॉट्स ऑफ किड्स, इवन टीचर्स एंड ऑल, कि फर्स्ट टाइम आई एम सीइंग दिस and they born and brought up in the city for last 40-50 years they were living and they were never been there. शायद एक बार गए होंगे, बट ऐसी बात नहीं है. यहाँ पे भी अगर स्कूल कॉलेजेस को आप कनेक्ट करें, बिकॉज द किड्स आर वेरी enthusiastic और उनका जो पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू इन माई फोटोग्राफिक करियर जो भी है, पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. एक ही चीज़ को कैसे डिफरेंटली एक फोटोग्राफर देखता है, तो पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू दोज किड्स and some influencer nowadays who are just making reels and yesterday I was just searching about them and some wonderful reels I have seen all the lighthouse in India everywhere and they were showing because they are very young chaps, they are very enthusiastic and वो अलग अलग angles और तमाम चीज़ें. And believe me, the social media can do miracle for them. Even in Varanasi हम अब थोड़ा उससे प्रॉब्लम भी फेस करने लगे हैं. ओवर जो मार्केटिंग करी हमने जिस खाने पीने के दुकानों की या जिन जगहों की, तो मैं उसको कैटेगराइज करता हूँ कि किन जगहों पे किसको जाना चाहिए. हर चीज़ हर इंसान के लिए नहीं बनी है, बट डेफिनेटली एक बहुत बड़ी चीज़ है. अगर मुझे मौका मिले तो मैं जैसे जो भी कुछ मैं अभी देख रहा था तो मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा कि मैं सारे लाइट हाउस में विजिट करूं बिकॉज ऑफ डिफरेंट. मैंने कहा कि जहाँ पे 3 चीज़ें एक साथ मिल रही हैं जब भी हम जाते हैं, लैंड, सी, वाटर एंड स्काई, ऑल टुगेदर, लॉट्स ऑफ स्टोरी कैन बी मेड, लॉट्स ऑफ थिंग कैन बी मेड. एंड जो एक मैंने एक शो देखा था उसमें एक एग्जीबिशंस थे. देन आई गॉट टू नो अबाउट द हिस्ट्री अबाउट द लाइट हाउस की बहुत पुरानी, आई थिंक मोर देन 2000 ईयर्स उसकी हिस्ट्री है. और पहले कोल यूज़ होता था, देन उसमें ऑयल भी यूज़ हुआ था, बाद में इसमें लेंसेज, डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ लेंसेज, आई थिंक 70-80 माइल्स तक उसकी रेज जाती हैं. उसमें डिफरेंट लेंसेज हैं, वेराइटीज़ हैं, इतनी सारी चीज़ें हैं. एंड दोज लेंसेज वन आई सी इट वाज जस्ट रिमार्केबल, जस्ट लाइक द कैमरा लेंस, इट्स अ ह्यूज वन एंड इट्स लुकिंग वंडरफुली. सो एंड आज की टेक्नोलॉजी में अभी उसका बहुत रोल नहीं है, बट फॉर माई पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू
बिल्कुल ये एक रिमार्केबल चीज़ है, क्योंकि जैसे बनारस में एक बोट एंड बलून फेस्टिवल हुआ, एंड हमारे जो भी गेस्ट आते हैं दे वांट टू सी द सिटी फ्रॉम द हाइट, तो हमारे पास तो ऐसा कोई लाइट हाउस है नहीं, तो जो कुछ ऐसी बिल्डिंग्स हैं जो गंगा किनारे बहुत ऊंचाई पे हैं, मैं चाहता हूँ कि लोग वहाँ जाएं और वहाँ से जो आप जाके पूरे शहर का एक व्यू देखते हैं, दैट्स वंडरफुल. द सेम विल हैपन विद द लाइट हाउस. सो दीज आर माई पॉइंट्स.
थैंक यू सो मच विनय सर. आपने एग्जीबिशंस एग्जीक्यूट किए, हाउ डू यू थिंक कब हम अगला एग्जीबिशन कर पाएंगे स्पेसिफिक फॉर लाइट हाउस? हाउ डू यू सी फोटोग्राफर्स कमिंग अप विद दिस कि एक एग्जीक्यूशन सिर्फ एक एग्जीबिशन लाइट हाउसेस
के लिए? इट्स अ वंडरफुल पॉइंट. यू नो, इन वाराणसी अभी दिस ईयर इन February from the Prime Minister of India, he came and there was a photo exhibition and competition. So I gave one picture of mine which I clicked from the mobile phone, and fortunately I got a gold medal from him. So it was wonderful for me and for everyone, and not only everyone, those who are having camera, हम ऐसी चीज़ें कर सकते हैं. और एग्जीबिशन इज़ अ गुड पार्ट. मतलब आई वुड लव कि अगर जैसे पुरी है और जितने भी 203 आपके साइट्स हैं, उन सारी साइट्स के आप उन सारे फोटोग्राफर्स, वहाँ के लोकल फोटोग्राफर्स में आप एक कंपटीशन कराइए, एंड ऑनलाइन, एंड यू कैन डू दैट, एंड सारे एक जगह पे कलेक्ट करा के, एंड दोज, तो जो फाइनल उसके जो सबसे वंडरफुली पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से खींची हुई फोटोग्राफ हैं, आप उनको फर्स्ट, सेकंड, थर्ड एंड अदर अवार्ड्स दीजिए. देखिए इसका इन्वॉल्वमेंट इतना ज़्यादा, बिकॉज ना सोशल मीडिया पे पिक अपलोड करने का ये एक मतलब जो चस्का है वो अनबिलीवेबल है. मतलब मैं देखता हूँ एज अ फोटोग्राफर, वी नो कि फोटोग्राफ खिंचवाने का जो चस्का है वो लोगों को बहुत है. और ऑब्वियसली इन इंडिया मतलब वी आर वेरी रिच फ्रॉम द ऑल पर्सपेक्टिव, हमारे डिफरेंट लोकेशंस, एंड इन सारे लोकेशंस पे लाइट हाउस के मैंने जितने लोकेशन, इट वाज जस्ट वंडरफुल. सो वहाँ से आपके जैसे एक पॉइंट था अभी मेंशन किया था कि बर्ड वॉचिंग का कर सकते हैं, नेचर का देख सकते हैं, और कुछ कल्चरल इवेंट्स अगर शाम को एक पर्टिकुलर हो, डेफिनेटली इट्स गोना रॉक. आपको कहने की ज़रूरत नहीं होगी, दैट वुड बी फुल. और जो एग्जीबिशन है, आप नॉट ऑल द टाइम बट आई थिंक इन एवरी 6 months यू कैन डू इट, इस तरह के कंपटीशन करा के, एंड यू कैन डू, और आप एग्जिबिट करिए एंड पीपल विल लव टू कम. और वो जो इम्पैक्ट देता है, दिस इज़ आउट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, बहुत डिफरेंट होता है.
थैंक यू सो मच विनय सर, एंड आई डेफिनेटली फील कि डिपार्टमेंट ने ज़रूर उसको नोट में कहीं रखा होगा कि येस, this is going to be executed for sure. And so as we come to the end of our first session, I would love to ask if there is anyone having any question related to history, infrastructure and photography, because we have some very respectful people from the same industry. And if you have any question, you can come up with this, or else let us move towards the end of this first tech session. And I would just need a round of applause from your side for our all esteemed speakers who have contributed their wonderful points, who have contributed their wonderful experience and gave us some remarkable points to mention and to make sure that we note it and execute it to make Lighthouse as a very wonderful tourist spot. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, sir. And I would request to keep giving your experiences and points so that we can make it as early as possible for the tourism of India. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, everyone. Can we please have a round of applause? And I think you understand what is a round of applause is. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, are we moving with the next session now itself, or do we need to have any break? Sure, please. Thank you. Please.
Thank you once again, gentlemen. Shri Kapil Mohan ji, Shri Debashish Mishra ji, Shri Vinay Tripathi ji, and Shri Dinesh Khanna ji. That was truly insightful to hear from the experts, and the more I heard from them about the lighthouse, I think the lighthouses has started to appearing to me as a talking monument instead of that old colorless structure that stood or was there much before I was born. So thank you, host team, for bringing all these amazing experts together for such wonderful sessions. Gaurav ji, aap hamare saath hi rahe to moderate the next session, which will be equally intriguing. And I'll take this opportunity to invite on stage Sri Raja Parijat ji, former OS officer, famous writer of Lighthouse tourism in Odisha. Captain Devabrat Mishra ji, he is the CEO of E Square Info Tab. Shri Ravi Kumar ji is the CEO, Lux and Decibel Hyderabad, and Madam Sangeeta Thakur, who is a media and communication professional, former editor, Hindustan Time. May I request all the speakers to please join us on stage, and I will take this opportunity to request esteemed Deputy DGLL, Virendra Yadav ji, to join us on stage and present bouquet and Angavastra to the panelists on stage. It's very important for the host team to acknowledge the presence of these special guests on stage in the most traditional way, with Angavastras and bouquets of fresh flowers. And there's so much we hear from them, so much to learn about lighthouses and their significance in the tourism sector when we talk about new age tourism, with these historic vintage monuments that have seen the world, centuries of navigation. May I request Shri Yadav ji to please do the honor. I'll request the Deputy DG to please join us on stage and do the honor again. Madhukarji presenting Angavastra and bouquets to the speakers on dais. And with that begins yet another absolutely enlightening session that will give you more of ideas about how lighthouse tourism is going to bring that spark that will enlighten the world and tell the globe more about India, its culture and heritage. What a thoughtful initiative indeed. Thank you so much, Madhukarji, for doing the honors. We have a wonderful host team here who ensures every special protocol is well taken care of. And over to you, Gaurav, once again for this wonderful session ahead.
Thank you so much. And I believe all of you had a wonderful first session, and you might have come up with the many ideas and points for very sure. Moving on to second, we have some wonderful personalities between us, and there are so many things to talk about. There are so much of experiences coming up next. And let us start with Mr. Raja Parija. And I will have a quick introduction. Mr. Parija is a former bureaucrat and a passionate advocate for preserving Odisha's cultural heritage. His recent book, Lighthouse of Odisha, Beacons of Tourism, documents the rich history and significance of these lighthouses. Mr. Raja Parija has been a stalwart in ensuring that Odisha's rich legacy is documented for future generation. And he has been an ex-photographer and published more than 10 coffee table books related to tourism. And now as much as I understand, sir, a picture definitely speaks much louder than words. And you have been a part of this for so long period of time now. Sir, how do you see how lighthouse tourism is going to be promoted and how we can make sure that we preserve and conserve the lighthouses now? You can take this.
Thank you, Gaurav. Before coming to the points, I just want to tell few words about Odisha, because this iconic festival is organized in this holy land. The ancient Kalinga, the present Odisha, was once a major maritime power in the eastern coast of India. The Kalingan Empire was extended from river Ganga in the east and river in the south, Godavari in the south. So you just imagine the area during the ancient time. This land has such a mysterious power that it converted Maurya Emperor Ashoka from Chandasok to Dharmasok. The Kalinga War of 261 BC once changed the course of Indian history. It was the Kalinga, the present Odisha, that opened the gate for Buddhism to become a world religion out of a sectarian religion. So you just imagine the Kalinga's history. The second point I want to mention that once upon a time, Kalinga had 600 kilometers of coastal line. Now it is limited to, after merger of princely state, after 1947, now it is reduced to 480 kilometers. During the time of ancient time, actually the entire coast was dotted with lots of flourishing ports, out of which one is Tamralipti, now in Midnapur district of West Bengal. One is Palura, your Proyagi lighthouse just adjoining to the Palura village. And third was Kalinga Patnam, now in Andhra Pradesh. These are the three major international ports in ancient times which have connection with different civilizations of the world. And talking to the point of lighthouse, recent excavation, recent discovery by Archaeological Survey of India near Palura, one old lighthouse has been located in shape of a huge rock-cutted oil lamp. So you can imagine the time of Ashoka to medieval period, there was many lighthouses in shape of hillocks, in shape of buildings, monuments, like all that type of in coastal areas. And very surprisingly, your Jagannath temple and Puri, Konarka temple, Sun temples, now it's a UNESCO heritage site known as Black Pagoda, also served as a lighthouse during British period. So history of lighthouse is as old as Odia civilization. Now coming to the point, today's point, and to discussion regarding to lighthouses and tourism. During documentation of my book, Lighthouses of Odisha, this is the book. This is the book for the first time. The lighthouses of a state has been documented. Although there are a lot of books on lighthouses of Odisha, this is the exclusive book documented the lighthouses of a particular state. Odisha has 6 lighthouses. I traveled from Baleshwar coast to Gopalpur coast, almost 400 kilometers, and it took me 3 years to document this book. During my visit to this lighthouse, I have noticed certain things which I want to put forth before the DGLL to address the issues. I am not criticizing. Lot of things have been done. They are doing wonderful things. Lot of is going on. It's okay. There's some basic things. What I noticed, I just want to put forth this august house for kind consideration and appreciation. The first point is, my first point is, those lighthouses, more than 75 years old, they, in the entire country, they must be declared as heritage sites. I am particularly talking about a lighthouse, Falls Point Lighthouse. Falls Point Lighthouse is 185 years old. It was commissioned in 1836 in a small island called Batigar Island at the confluence of River Mahanadi and Bay of Bengal. Wonderful site, wonderful. The only thing is communication problem. What discussed previously in the meeting, the communication and other facilities makes a tourist happy to visit that place.
Unless these infrastructure is not available, one cannot go to see the things. This lighthouse was constructed out of the ruins of Baravati Fort of Cuttack. Cuttack was headquarter during that time, British time. Baravati was the seat of power. During the time of British annexation, the fort was devastated and the blocks, stone blocks, was transported through river and the building was constructed. This is what I just want to tell. You develop these sites in such a way, a tourist who comes to Odisha to visit that site particularly, because the lighthouse has a history behind it, why it was constructed, why it was called False Point Lighthouse. Due to some technical problem during that time in navigation, most of the ships come to River Mahanadi mouth instead of Haladia. East India companies have the base at Bengal in Calcutta. So that's why this lighthouse was constructed. And very interestingly, Prime Minister बोला था कि one railway station, one product. जहाँ पर रेलवे स्टेशन है, वही एरिया का जो भी प्रोडक्ट है, आइकॉनिक प्रोडक्ट, इट शुड बी टैग्ड. इसीलिए मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि ये जो लाइट हाउस है वहाँ पर, इट इज नियर टू भितरकनिका वाइल्ड लाइफ सैंक्चुअरी, which is the largest concentration of salt water crocodile in the country. Another nearby place is that Gahiri Matha Wildlife Sanctuary, world's largest nesting ground of olive reedlet turtle. These places are just nearby. So if you will develop that site, people will definitely come, and within no time it will become an international destination. So this is one of my suggestion to regional authorities to look after. वो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर करने से कि चिल्ड्रंस पार्क करने से कोई फायदा नहीं होगा. आपको टूरिस्ट को कैसे आना है उसके लिए सोचना है. Second point is, whenever I visited a lighthouse, I ask a literature or brochure to know about the lighthouse because I am documenting. Then I found not a single literature or brochure available in the lighthouse. That was also one of the instigation for documenting this book because you see, when a tourist will visit the lighthouse, definitely will ask for a literature to know about the history, know about the area, what are the other attractions around the lighthouse to visit. Lighthouse ऐसे नहीं है कि वो particular जाएगा देखने के लिए. It's a part of the tourist itinerary. Okay? Suppose someone will come to Puri, वो beach तो जाएगा. वो beach से दूर से देखेगा, तो on the edge of the beach. वो दूर से देखेगा लाइट हाउस को, क्यों जाएगा? वहीं से फोटो खींचेगा, वही सेल्फी ले लेगा. अगर those who are coming, those I am talking about, those who are coming students, research scholars, historians, they definitely go to the lighthouse. They want to know about its history, the purpose, what is the technical parameters of this lighthouse. Definitely go. So my suggestion is, yes, I saw that museums are being constructed in various lighthouses. You must ensure a small souvenir shop. You put some brochure literature for the visitor and provide them free of cost. You keep some publication related to lighthouses about other states of the country or outside the world, so that those but particular segment of visitors like research scholars, students, historians, writers, photographs, they will definitely look after these things. They will search for these things. So these things have to keep in mind so that in future when you are developing 75 or more, definitely phase-wise you will develop the lighthouses. So third point is, we have a regulation, heritage zone regulation. So पहले क्या होता था, जो जहाँ पर लाइट हाउस था थोड़ा रिमोट एरिया में था. अभी अर्बनाइजेशन जो रेट में होता है, तो आपको पता ही नहीं चलेगा लाइट हाउस कहाँ पर है. जब हम बचपन से पुरी आते थे, हम लोग लाइट हाउस के पास नहीं जाते थे, वो पूरा रिमोट एरिया में थे. अभी लाइट हाउस के चार पूरा आसपास में देखेंगे, लाइट हाउस उसका बीच में फंस गया. वो साइड में इतना बड़ा बड़ा हाई राइजिंग बिल्डिंग हो गया है. There must be a regulation. The ministry can take up the matter with urban department. So there must be a regulation that around the lighthouse, the building must be G+2 or 3. That will be very important aspect. I am just submitting before the. One thing I have forgotten to mention, that when the Falls Point Lighthouse was constructed in 1836, 700 of acre was earmarked for the lighthouse. You just imagine 700 acres of land earmarked for Falls Point Lighthouse. Do you know the present situation? It is limited to 25 acre. In course of time, people encroached, nobody bothered, the things happened. So I'll also request DGLL authorities to take up the matter with state government to recover minimum whatever possible land already encroached by the unauthorized persons. The third point is during my visit I found that the lighthouses, most of the lighthouses are located some of the finest sea beaches of the world. I am talking about Puri, Konark and Gopalpur. These lighthouses already located in a international destination. But one lighthouse is there. You just heard about the name Proyagi Lighthouse. Recently they have commissioned. It's a wonderful place, wonderful place. I never seen such a beach in the entire coastline of Odisha. But I had been to the place 2-3 years back. No road is there. You will not find a single matchbox. आपको सब कुछ देखना पड़ेगा. मिनिमम फैसिलिटीज देना है. अगर आप इंटरेस्टेड है टूरिस्ट को लाने के लिए, तो मिनिमम फैसिलिटीज शुड बी देयर. So many things are there. It is a very short meeting, and we cannot discuss. I'll request DGL authority to. I am a free man. I am available to give any suggestion while you are developing the lighthouses of Odisha in future. I am available. I can give you my experience, my suggestion as a student of history, archaeology and tourism. That's.
Thank you so much, Mr. Parida. This is such insightful. इतने deep में जाकर challenges को पता कर पाना शायद बहुत ज़्यादा time लग जाता department को, and you have made it so easy for them, and they are definitely making notes and will take care of this. Moving on to our next speaker of the day, Captain Debabrata Mishra. Mr. Captain Debabrata Mishra brings us an entirely different perspective. With 15 years of experience at sea and now as the CEO of E-Square Infolev, Captain Mishra has been instrumental in developing port optimization solutions. Today, he will be speaking on how technology and operational research are shaping in the preservation of efforts of these historical structures. Captain Mishra, please take.
Jai Jagannath and Namaskar to all distinguished participants here. Actually, I'm a mariner, so my point of view will be totally different from the previous co-speakers who are giving about the tourism and the way it has to be. And my topic of discussion is how we can preserve and conserve our lighthouses. It's very objective and little technical. So I will not take most of your time because I know we are well above our lunch time. Everybody is looking to go for their lunch. So can I have the next slides there? Is there? You can put it.
You can put it on this.
Yeah. Next slide. So next slide. Next, go to the next. As somebody has told, lighthouse is a tower or building. Already you know there is a lantern, there is a lenses, it emits light. Actually, it's not the only light, air, water. It is Panchabhuta. All our Panchabhuta is Samavesh there. So it's a very, and it has a life. Who says it doesn't have? As a mariner, when I come from the open sea and reaching towards my country, India, if I coming from the west, if I am reaching the Minikoi lighthouse, I feel a deja vu. It's a kind of, there is a emotion, there is a life in this life. And of course, if I have to say, this lighthouse, whether we are now DGPS, that is differential GPS, we have got AIS, we have got NAVEDS and everything. But if you remember, not very distant past, when our Kargil war was going on, our poor soldiers who are working at Himalaya and certain countries, I don't name them, it's not they have denied them the use of GPS. So they have to fall back to the basic. When you come to fall back to the basic, there comes the lighthouse. I am here, I am guiding you. So the lighthouse is a very, very important, next slide. Next slide, please. India has got a tremendous structure for the marine history, and Odisha especially. Now, Kartika, somebody from Oriya people, if you are around, you know the Kartik Mahina is going on, and within the 25 days, we will have our Kartika Purnima, when our ancestors were going without any modern equipments, without any equipments, by the seer gods and the navigational powers of the astronomical, that sun, stars. So we are a heritage. And India, like Sir was saying, in 3000 BC also, there is northwest India provinces, you will find some lighthouse. And some recorded lighthouses, Puhar, that is as Kavaripatnam, that is the one of the recorded history's oldest lighthouse. And then there is Mahabalipuram. And Modern Lighthouse Act came in 1927 under the government, British government, and 47 when they handed over to our Swaraj. Then we had 50 lighthouse, and today we have jumped up to 203 plus. And lighthouse is not only emitting light, it has got so many characteristics, like it will have a occulting light, a flashing light, a directional light, a radio light, a phase light. So without going, it is not only emitting light, but it is giving a certain segment where to go, where not to go. Next slide.
Next slide.
Then the question is, my question is why we have to preserve and conserve light. First of all, it is NAVED. When you have to come to the basic, compass, sextant, and this lighthouse is our guiding beacon. Then, of course, a lot of my so distinguished co-speaker has talked about the history. And I always believe this has to be a tourism with a PPP basis, which already somebody has spoken about. I don't want to go. And also, sir, this lighthouse will also, that will be a station for AIS, VTS, DGPS stations. And with the new technologies coming, OTH, that over the horizon radars also may be put there. And believe me or not, every lighthouse got a story. Who doesn't know in the Oriya, the Chandrabhaga lighthouse, when Dharmapada put that last thing and Konark, then they say that it attracted some kind of magnet was attracting. I don't know, it might be a myth, but this myth will make a social confluences, and people will get to know what is this, how this, they will be interested. Our marine structure will again be revived. Next slide, sir. So, when coming to the preservation, there are two parts of the lighthouse to be preserved. One is the exterior part, another is the interior part. In the exterior part, you have got the ground and coatings, because these are the any structure near the sea is prone to corrosion and erosion. Similarly, the stucco. Stucco means the render that gambus type ka jo tha, stucco. Then the irons used there. Disaster, suppose there is a tsunami coming, how to protect yourself, and the wood and concrete. These are the exterior part. And going to the next one, next slide, sir. Next slide, sir. Interior presentation, you have got the lantern, the lenses, the treatment of ventilations and all, and security. These are the things. I will not go into the lantern and lenses because there is a lot of the lenses itself, and the prism also, sir. Because prism also sometimes converted into the lenses, and so these are the things I would say for the interior preservation. It requires money. I agree, it requires money, and the navigators generally pay the lighthouse dues, but they have a lot to maintain. They have the buoys, they have the lighthouse, light shapes, lighthouses. So if we can earn from this thing, it would be next. Like Sir has already told, I will not take your time. We have Chandrabhaga, Falls Point, Puri, Paradip. Paradip actually has got two. If you come from the site, the Paradip lighthouse, from north it will be the Falls Point and Gopalpur. Though I put Kalingapatnam because the Kalinga ward is there, so I put Kalingapatnam, but now it is in the Andhra Pradesh. So that's all from my side. If any queries about lighthouse or anything you want to know, I'm free.
Thank you so much, Captain Mishra, giving us such a different perspective how lighthouse can be a part and how tech and heritage can go hand in hand. Thank you so much for providing us this information. Let us move to our third speaker of the day, Mr. R. Ravi Kumar. Mr. R. Ravi Kumar has a rich background in the entertainment and events history, and as the CEO of Lux and Decibels, he has worked on several high-profile projects worldwide. Today, he will provide us a unique viewpoint on how virtual reality, augmented reality, and lighting innovations can enhance both the preservation of tourism aspects of Lighthouse. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Ravi Kumar.
Namaskar, everyone. It's good to be back to a state where I was brought up. I did my schooling in the same state for almost 17 years. Thank you, DGLL officials, for this opportunity. Sir, we've spoken about the tourism part. I think everybody has given a lot of insights. And as Sir said, we are already at the lunch time, so I will keep it short and crisp. We come into picture in terms of developing in terms of tourism into another angle. As Sir was saying, we are going to need literature maybe, or put some documents in place so that people can take back. So we are looking at an enhanced approach for the same. We are looking at developing maybe an app wherein you go to a particular lighthouse, you can scan it, and you get the entire history. We are looking at virtual reality as well as AI, which will be an animation part, which will have video, which will have pictures of that particular lighthouse, which will tell them about the history, which will show them actually in terms of the video part of it, rather than just reading it. So you can scan that and take it with you and go back, show it to your friends, or put it on digital platform, as today everybody is on digital world. So we are looking at a part ahead of what is there in that particular lighthouse. So we've taken the Mahabalipuram lighthouse on a PPE mode for 15 years. So this is our first project there, which we want to test it, and so that the viewers will have experience beyond just reading something or seeing the lighthouse, and know the history, know the background. And the best part about it is we can always keep adding on different videos into it. It's just not that it becomes static and, people get bored. We can keep improving on with the videos and add them to their particular library. So I'll cut it short. Anything specific you are looking for, we are always here to answer the queries.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ravi Kumar, for letting us know how the digital development happening and I wish the testing what is happening at Mahabalipuram gets successful and we get these solutions as soon as possible for all the lighthouses. And that is what moving us to the final speaker of the session and for the day, Ms. Sangeeta Thakur, a seasoned media and communication expert with over 3 decades of experience. Ms. Thakur has been a guiding force in strategic communication, including her contribution to government projects. Today, she will be speaking about how effective media strategies can elevate public awareness and involvement in the lighthouse preservation efforts. She has already been a very important part of copy table book published by DGLL, Silent Sentinels of the Sea. And she is a founder of Ashtavakra Accessibilities. And she will be a perfect person to tell us how, because ma'am, whenever tourism comes, there comes the accessibilities. And I don't think there is any other person to help us to actually execute and plan how can we make it more accessible for the tourists.
So thank you, Gaurav, and good afternoon, everyone. I know I'm standing between you and your lunch as the last speaker, but I request 5 minutes of your time to allow me to speak on some important aspects of lighthouse tourism and heritage. I'm not a heritage person, but let me tell you how I come into the picture and how I am a part of the panel, thanks to the directorate, which invited me. So my journey with lighthouses started with the coffee table book, which we worked on last year. It was a very, very interesting project for me because when I came on board the project, I had zero knowledge of lighthouses. I'm a literature person. I have a background in English literature. So, of course, I have read poems too, and I have read Virginia Woolf's famous book called To a Lighthouse. Last panel, people were mentioning, in fact, the minister mentioned, and he was talking about the creative and emotional aspect which is aroused by a lighthouse. So that had been my interaction and understanding of a lighthouse till the point I started working on the coffee table book with Cosmos Creative. Nikhil, he brought me on board as the editor of the book. Now, we had, the project was to cover 75 iconic lighthouses of India, and these are spread across the entire coastline. Now, as a person like me, who is on a wheelchair, and I'm also deaf, I wear hearing aids for your information. So for a person like me, visiting even one lighthouse is a dream. It wouldn't be possible for me to go even near the sea. I have been to Goa and I could just go somewhere near the sea on my wheelchair with the help of some people. But that if you get the opportunity to read that coffee table book, you will understand the beauty of the lighthouses that we have in India. Each lighthouse has a human interest. Now, in the last panel, people were talking about lighthouses need to have some kind of a human angle, human interest story. And I understand that perfectly as a person from media and a creative person myself. Everything sells on human emotion. Be it selling, marketing yourself on social media, marketing your company on social media. You need to have a brand story. And let me tell you, our lighthouses have beautiful human stories behind them. I worked on each one of them and I learned a lot. It has history, it has geography, it has perspective, it has beauty. I mean, I was like kind of transported while I was working on the book. I imagined myself being on top of a lighthouse at night, early morning, looking out at the sea, and I could weave stories of beauty around each of them. That is a lighthouse. And that is what we need to sell to people, to domestic travelers, to international travelers. I have a few suggestions which I feel would work if we really want to sell lighthouses as a tourism spot. And I'm going to come to them one by one. One is promoting it as a destination, which the last panel also spoke about. Now we have two kinds of domestic travel, we can do, I mean, international travel is there, and then you have domestic travel also. However, it can be niche, and it can also be, for everybody, common person. You have to identify which lighthouse can cater to which kind of a crowd. Now, supposing you go for a writer's retreat, you can organize a writer's retreat in, say, some remote place where authors and poets, literary people, or you can have a lit fest, which is held in Jaipur. A lit fest around one of the lighthouses. That could be one of the ways to promote tourism, the lighthouses as a tourism destination. One important aspect is to train all the tour guides about the history of the lighthouses. The local tour guides need to be given handouts, leaflets, audiovisual training, and they must be informed about what is the story behind each lighthouse. Because like when we go to Agra and we visit Taj Mahal, we have a tour operator with us, we have a guide who keeps on giving us the story. So that part is very important because each lighthouse has some local story, lore, historical story, perspective around it. So it is very important to bring it out in the public and convey it to the public. The other thing is we must make all the lighthouses accessible for people like me and the elderly in India, because we are also a huge untapped market. So if your lighthouses are accessible right up to the top, then a person like me can also visit. And there'll be lots of people, those who have elderly at home, families, they have children with disabilities, they can also visit the lighthouses, especially given the government of India and the Prime Minister's personal pet project, Sugamya Bharat. I suppose if you can tie lighthouse tourism to Sugamya Bharat, then it would also be a selling point. You can also sell it abroad to tour operators, those who are working on accessible tourism. That makes an important aspect of lighthouse tourism. Then you can also promote it as a wedding destination. Why not? Sea beach. I mean, I would have loved to get married near one of the lighthouses. It would be beautiful, absolutely lovely. So if we can promote Umaid Bhavan, which I have been to, why not somewhere, even your Falls Point with its beautiful story. There are so many other lighthouses in Tamil Nadu, etc., which have romantic stories around it. So if we can pick these important, interesting stories, weave it around a destination tourism aspect, and then market it, that would be the perfect way. And I think I've spoken enough, and I don't want to hold you any longer from your lunch. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sangeeta ma'am, for your wonderful point of views. And I believe Mr. Pariza has some more points to add on.
Hello? Yeah. Sorry, for 2 seconds, I just forgotten to mention 2 important issues which I have marked during my visit to lighthouses. One is, don't allow visitor beyond 60 years of age to climb the staircases, or person with heart ailment. I have, in one of my visit, I found one incident. I will not mention here, one incident. Very important thing. You just stop it. Second thing is, you just allow the professional guides and photographers inside the campus, so that it will help the visitors in different way. At the same time, it has also economic metrics. Thank you.
I have an objection. I am 61. Why should I not go to the lighthouse? I am more than you. Why we are being stopped? I am 61 years old.
Madam, sorry. Madam, I'm extremely sorry. No, one. It's okay. But one incident, this is I'm just giving my experience. One incident occurred during my visit in one of the lighthouse. The person who is beyond 60 years, a little fatty, at the lantern room, he collapsed. So that's why, although Konark has already introduced lift in Konark Lighthouse, हाँ तो ठीक है मेरे को बढ़ाना नहीं चाहिए ना वो अथॉरिटी नहीं, मेरे को नहीं चाहिए. I am just ventilating my experience. Not everywhere there is a lift. Only Konark they have recently introduced, but particularly in Falls Point Lighthouse, it was dangerous. मैडम आप बोलते हैं आप चलिए मेरे साथ, मैं आपको फॉल्स पॉइंट लाइट हाउस को आपको जाएंगे.
I would like to provide a more constructed answer to your objections. We all know that the world is graying faster. We all know that. Many of us are going to continue working in our 70s if we have to feed ourselves. Isn't it so? It's not, now the retirement age may also have to be increased because people are living longer. We have better health care, we have better facilities. If you want to keep your elderly tied up at home, then I'm sorry to say we'll be like kind of going backwards instead of forward in a development journey. Even the government of India emphasizes the inclusion of all people, those who need accessibility, including the elderly, in every aspect of life. Mind you, every company, even with 20 employees, has to be accessible. Every event has to be accessible. Have you people heard of harmonized guidelines for accessible spaces 2021? Have you heard of RPWD Act? I'm going to request each of the department heads to kindly go through it, because the government of India has made it mandatory for all of you to make everything accessible, including your event venue, your hotels, everything. You cannot leave us out of mainstream. You cannot leave us out of life. We need to live too. And if I can do that, I think elderly are in a better position than me, you know. I mean, my mother who is 80 is much better. My mother-in-law who is now 85 travels across the world. What are you talking about? We need to make a world accessible.
So,
It is a really the interesting
so
part of
I totally understand the point, sir. Now, as we merge up, there has to be some challenges that DGLL has to make sure that the people with the health issues. So let me clear up the age mark, ma'am. The people with the health issues should not, with the severe health issues, should be taken care that they don't go by the stairs. They should also have lifts. They have all the freedoms that they should go up, they should have fun, they should have their own time. So there should be some elevator set up so that even people with the health problems and with the age can go freely, can have a very good time and can have a wonderful time there. And I believe, जहाँ से हमने ये सेशंस की शुरुआत करी थी before 2 hours, कि बात होगी, तो बात निकलेगी और बात बननी शुरू हो जाएगी. And I believe now as you move on for the lunch from here, you will definitely have some wonderful points in your mind. You will have many content. You will have much more points so that when you go back home, you will be telling these to your partners, your families, your friends, your colleagues कि लाइट हाउस पर इतना सब कुछ हो सकता है. एंड यू शुड डेफिनेटली गो एंड विजिट. आप भी जाएंगे, आप अपने साथ लोगों को लेकर भी जाएंगे. लाइट हाउस एज अ टूरिज्म प्रमोट भी होगा, लाइट हाउस का प्रिजर्वेशन भी होगा, कंजर्वेशन भी होगा, लाइट हाउस टूरिज्म भी प्रमोट होगा, विजिटर्स भी बढ़ेंगे. वी जस्ट हैव 135,000. There is a very small number. We will definitely have a huge number of people traveling to lighthouses. This will definitely generate a lot of businesses for the local communities. हमारा हेरिटेज भी स्ट्रांग होगा, हमारे लाइट हाउसेज भी स्ट्रांग होंगे, हम ग्रो भी करेंगे. और एज अ टेक, एज अ डिजिटल एंड एज अ टूरिस्ट, दिस विल टेक अ वंडरफुल venture, and this will be a wonderful collaboration for all the industries. From this, let us close this session here. I believe you must have had a very good time. You must have learned many points. Thank you so much for all the panelists. Thank you so much for all the speakers. Thank you so much for all the audience for taking out your time, and have a wonderful time here. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, panel, for those extremely informative words. May I request esteemed Deputy Director General, Shri Virendra Yadav ji, to please join us on stage and present token of gratitude to all the panelists on stage. And what energy floor. Thank you so much. I think we are all going back home with this idea that lighthouses will keep everyone safe, young, and let the grandpa and grandmas join us on lighthouses, giving that Titanic pose, and let the grandchildren click them well and post it on social media. Let it motivate people to be healthy so that they can climb up with or without an elevator. And let the globe see us through those tall lighthouses that has been there for centuries, that speaks about the maritime history of India, through these lovely token of gratitudes of the deities. We call them Lords of the Universe. We would like to thank each one of the speakers for the insight, for the thoughts, the wonderful ideas they have shared. Thank you, Gaurav, for all the energy, humor you have added to both the sessions that made them so lively. And may I request Shri Virendra Yadav ji to also officially propose vote of thanks, sir. I'll request the panelists from the first session to also join us on stage. We would love to give each one of you a small token of love from our side. May the blessings of the Lords be with you. May your journey with India's art, culture, and heritage continue. May the globe know you because of the love for nation and love for art and culture. Thank you so much, each one of you, for joining us from different states, giving us your experiences, sharing your ideas with us. Those vivid anecdotes will remind us that it's been a very special endeavor, as expected, while curating the Lighthouse Tourism Conclave. Here we have the brightest of minds of the nation talking about how lighthouses are important to spread the essence of Indian art culture across the world, across the universe. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for the panel, both first and second, for being so vibrant. And thank you, moderator. Thank you, Floor, for those pertinent questions. That was truly, truly insightful. Thank you very much. And over to Deputy Director General Ji, Shri Virendra Yadav, to propose vote of thanks officially.
Good afternoon to all. Respected dignitaries, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen. As we come to the close of this enlightening and engaging conclave on the promotion of lighthouse tourism, it is my privilege to deliver the vote of thanks. First and foremost, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to the Sri T.K. Ramachandran, Secretary, Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, for his warm welcome address, setting the tone for this significant event. Your words highlighted the importance of lighthouse tourism in preserving our maritime heritage and promoting tourism. Our sincere gratitude to Sri Suresh Gopi, Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum and Natural Gas and Tourism. Sir, your presence and valuable guidance will be a thrust for promoting tourism. Thank you, sir. Your perspective on the importance of maritime history and heritage, particularly in the context of Lighthouse as a beacon of hope and safety, was both inspiring and encouraging. Our sincere thanks to Srimati Prabhati Parida, Honorable Deputy Chief Minister and Minister of Tourism, Government of Odisha, for gracing us with your presence and sharing your vision for promoting tourism in Odisha, especially at the state's iconic lighthouses. Your commitment to enhancing Odisha's tourism potential has been a great inspiration for all stakeholders. We are particularly honored by the keynote address from Sri Santanu Thakur, Honorable Minister of State, Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways. Your words have reaffirmed the government's commitment to lighthouse tourism and conservation and serving as a call to action for all of us. I would like to extend my appreciation to the esteemed moderator, Sri Gaurav Nagar, for skillfully guided the conversation of today's sessions. In session 1 on Lighthouse Tourism and Heritage, thank you Mr. Deepak Khanna, renowned photographer, Mr. Binay Tripathi from National Geographic, Mr. Devashish Mishra, President of ECTA, and Mr. Kapil Mohan, IS retired, for your expertise and thoughtful discussions. Your insights into the historical and visual significance of lighthouses and their potential as a tourism hub have been invaluable. In session 2 on preservation and conservation of lighthouses, a special thanks to Mr. Raja Parija, Captain Devabratam Mishra, Mrs. Sangeeta Thakur, Group Editor of Hindustan Times, and Mr. R. Ravi Kumar, PPP developer, for your expertise in lighthouse preservation and innovative solutions in lighthouse conservations. Your contributions have added a great value to this discourse. I also convey my heartfelt gratitude to both Sri Harnath Sir, Chairman of Paradip Port Authority, and Sri N. Muruganandan Sahab, Director General of Lighthouse and Lightships, for guiding and motivating us in organizing this event. A special thanks to Ms. Sulagana Rautrai for beautifully and meticulously anchoring this event. Finally, I extend my heartfelt thanks to all the participants, stakeholders, and organizers who have worked tirelessly to make this conclave a grand success. Your contributions, ideas, and enthusiasm have made today's discussion fruitful and have brought us a step closer to realizing the full potential of lighthouse tourism in India. Also, thanks to those who were directly or indirectly involved in organizing these events. Thank you all for being part of this remarkable event, and I look forward to the continued collaboration and success in promoting lighthouse tourism across our great nation. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for proposing vote of thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, please do join us for lunch. Enjoy the mouth-watering food and our hospitality. See you all in the evening, where